Greetings, gamers, and welcome to the Misfit Gamer Studios. That gentleman over there is your co-host Kage. I am your host Vortex, and today is a very chill stream. Today we are going to be discussing the one-shot rivals game development.
Yes.
So we are going to be trying to develop as much as we can about one-shot rivals. The first Misfit Gamer Studios gaming with chat that we will try to do, aside from board game night.
For sure.
That will also be gaming with chat, but this will be the first like
D&D style gaming.
D&D-esque, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah.
Dude, I'm stoked for this. This is gonna be cool shit. This is definitely gonna be cool shit. So
I'm gonna be stoked when it's done. I did some preliminary work today on it, and I'm gonna be happy when it's done. This is not gonna be an easy thing. Your camera's not right. This is not gonna be easy. This is not gonna be like quick. And
okay.
But it's fine. It's not gonna be like super complicated either.
So I was thinking about this, and I was trying to kind of map out in my head, and I'm sure you've already done a lot of this, what we need to like establish for this. So obviously, okay. Cool.
This is part of that was part of this stuff I was trying to figure out is like, we need the groundwork, we need like a skeleton, or a scaffolding, if you will, of what we need to do. So I've laid out at least the phase one. If we can get the majority of this done in phase one, we'll pretty much have the foundation, and then it'll just be tweaks here and there.
Okay.
Not all of this has to be done today.
Of course.
This is just right now. We brought up the idea before, but we got to start pushing it. So I'm thinking hopefully maybe today we can do a couple characters builds, kind of get an idea of what that would look like in a round. Mm-hmm. Flesh out some of the rule sets that I have or some of the rule sets for the round types that I have.
For the game modes?
I think game mode, payload would be the best to do first. I think that has the most...
That's the one moving the cart, right? Got you.
I don't know why, but I feel like it's either that or King of the Hill. Those two, I think, have the type of mechanics, the game mechanics of.
Are there any other types in Rivals?
Team deathmatch. Well, in Rivals, I think maybe just team deathmatch.
Okay.
And then like other specialty rounds. But yeah,
I only ever quick play and competitive, so like I never really do those ones.
Yeah. So really, it is just payload. And there's two types of payload. There's the King of the Hill payload where you have to go capture a point, unlock it, and then move it. And then there's the payload where it's right outside your front door.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the payload right outside the front door. But if we did both, we'd get a much longer match and we'd get both versions of it. So that's what I'm thinking. At least with King of the Hill payload, both of those would do well. I have team deathmatch as the list. I'm not really interested in doing a team deathmatch. I don't think it'll work in a D&D style format. Not at least for what we're trying to do.
Yeah, like it might, but like I think that the way we're trying to do this would be way easier to like have and we've even talked about this in like actual D&D gameplay. Is not just having kill all the things be the objective, like having some sort of like secondary objective to like what we're trying to accomplish. So, I'm here for that, for sure.
I also have been doing some developments talking about that on some of the finalized ideas. Well, not finalized, but I've been getting closer to finalizing my ideas on how I want to alter turn-based combat in TTRPG. It's not just D&D, but I mean, obviously D&D for High Point.
You're talking about dynamic initiative and kind of like revealing what happens as we go?
Yeah, so I figured out, I think there's an easier way to do it where essentially you just have everybody get, like all players just get on the same page of like, for not vocabulary, but
terminology.
Yeah, like keywords. Like,
got you. And
the idea being that at the start of the round, everyone will have a certain amount of time. And, maybe everyone gets like a coin or a card, but they push it forward, flip it over. Basically, just everyone gets like 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. And everyone's going to plan out their move. And, they're going to basically have a signal of they're done. So everyone, somehow you identify everyone's ready. And then you go in initiative order. But the first thing they say is kind of like rapid response. So it's like, what are you doing? So it's like you break down all your movements into like bullet points. It's like, I'm moving, I'm going to attack that target with this weapon. Cool. I am moving, I'm bonus actioning to heal, then I'm going to attack that target with this. Cool. I'm moving over here to conceal, doing a spell, and spell's called this. Cool. That's my target. You know what I mean? You just bang, 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 everyone without knowing the outcome. You've just told me straight, what are you doing? What's your target? Because then you can have the opportunity to say, okay, you're moving and attacking target A with an axe. You said you're moving behind cover and hitting target A with an arrow. So both of you, and that's the idea of like the simultaneity of a round, is both of you are going to do that attack. So instead, and the reason why is like, I know some people might think that this is fixing D&D a little bit too much, because I know that people kind of like the metagaminess of combat where everyone's reacting to every little thing that happens.
Right.
But I like this as a more cinematic idea of you running up and slashing that guy, but by the time you ran up and your axe is in the middle of the swing, that bow has already been knocked and let fly. So yes, in initiative, you hit first, but that arrow should technically already be in arrow and just about done. Whereas in how people play it, it's like, oh, I'm going to knock that arrow. Oh, he got decapitated. Never mind. I'm going to swing way over here instead. I'm like, yes, in some situations you can like react, but in the average D&D game or the average TTRPG game, when it comes to round-based combat, it's almost as if everybody has lightning speed reactivity.
Right.
And in reality, that arrow would fly and you don't know whether that guy's technically dead unless you saw his head come off. Me hitting him with the sword, there's no way you knew he was dead in that 6-second instance. He's not going to hit the ground the moment my sword pierces him, right? So there's an argument that while the metagaminess of round around is nice, I kind of like this idea of if everybody just quickly states it, then once everyone states it, you can't go back on it. But now you embellish it. Now you say, okay, you've run up, you're swinging your axe, give me, roll to hit, roll me damage. Then as you unplay it, you start to be able to pull those in, right?
Does that mean things like if you're not attacking like a minion, say you're attacking somebody significant, say you are attacking somebody that would go down and start making death saving throws? Because as a DM, you're not going to make every one of the bad guys make death saving throws, right? but some of them will.
Thematically, yeah.
Right. Some of them will.
If you're using death saves, I get
when
that.
you attack somebody that's theoretically gone down, like this is 5th edition rules. I'm not 100% sure how High Point plays it, but if you attack somebody who's down, then they automatically fail some of their death saves, and they could potentially become dead quick. Right?
So you mean like if you made the final blow to hurt them,
To
then
knock
the
them
arrow would be that? So in that case, in the same round, no, because you're not really, again, in the simultaneous of it. Even though the axe, made the final blow, I'm not really looking at that like simultaneously of your axe hits them, then the arrow hits them as a double down on their need to hold on to life.
So
right?
would you count it as cumulative damage? So whatever damage your axe would have done and whatever damage the arrow would have done, that's how much damage the person took?
Essentially, because no matter what, that's how it would have happened if they stayed up. But I don't play the 5th edition death save, so I wouldn't necessarily say, oh, you go down, but the arrow hits you, so you doubled it. No, it's like in the reality of you go down, I look at the going down as an unconscious, as an inability to, or a will to fight. It's not just an instant death. Hit points is zero, don't mean
it's 100% not.
So because I don't use the death saves, the idea of that arrow hitting to me,
so it's more the one attack just does nothing and the other attack does.
I don't want to say it does nothing. It definitely adds to it. Like I would take it into account, right? It's just that the idea, I want to fix the idea that, because I would cinematically say like, it's not like a missed hit, right? It's not like Archer, sucks to be you, he got the final blow. Even though I say roll damage, oh, yep, he's down. But then right as you take the axe out, you see this arrow come and fly and smack his jaw off or whatever, right? If it's already a killing blow, maybe the arrow does something more cinematic. Like you killed him, but now this arrow comes by and knocks his jaw right off. You know what I mean? Just you could do something like that. Or he's gonna, maybe the enemy was gonna attack you at the same time. But let's say you two were first in initiative. So these were gonna do a simultaneously hit, but if you do the arrow, maybe you protect it, right? I think as a DM, what I would try to do is make every action more impactful, because we've talked about this before. It sucks to suck. It sucks when you miss. In these cases, when everybody states what they're gonna do with confidence, and we play it out, okay, you're running up, roll me to hit while you're knocking that arrow, it starts to fly, your axe comes down, you miss, the arrow hits, right? But if you hit, roll me damage, that arrow hits, you roll me damage, he takes an abundance of damage. Now, he technically went down with your hit, he was not gonna be able to get up, but then that thing came off, he drops his sword, and then he goes to the ground, he's down for the count, right? Like, I would, or maybe the axe was only gonna knock him unconscious, and you killed him. Like you banged him right up on the head. You see his lights go out. He's unconscious. And then the arrow hits him in the neck. And now he's dead. Right? You can, I think as a DM,
and that is what I was talking about, just so you know.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I was thinking like, instead of just saying like, oh, he killed him, so yours doesn't do anything. I like the idea of, instead of giving the players this lightning speed of, oh, he's dead, I'm going to completely change my tactic. Let everything happen the way it in game should have. But be a good DM about it. Don't make anyone's move feel like it shouldn't have worked.
Idea in concept. I really want to see it in practice.
You have it 100% because in concept.
Because the concept is great. Like I get what we're trying to present here. But like you said, like finding a way to like implement that feels fluid, that feels good. Like I definitely am intrigued to see how that because theoretically you'd want to do the same thing with the enemies too. Theoretically, the enemies aren't going to know everything, so 5 enemies I would say
this enemy is going after you, this enemy is going to move and go after you, this enemy is going to duck behind cover. I would do the same thing. If I'm working these 3 enemies simultaneously, I'm gonna be like, all of them are piling on you, all of them are moving. Like I would 100% want to do that the same exact way. And the same exact way, because you're going in initiative order, it's like, okay, what are you doing? You're running up and hitting him. What are you doing? You're knocking an arrow, you're hitting the same guy. Well, he is in the 3rd initiative, so he doesn't know what's happening. So his intent is going to run straight at you, the axe guy, because you're right in front of him. He doesn't know what you two are doing. And then this guy's going to run over, and then what are you doing? You're going to do that? Okay. And then my guy's going to do that. Like everyone's just rapid fire. You shouldn't be hesitating. You should be saying, and this is where the concept of the honor, the honor system works in, and the table dynamic, right? This has to be a decision that everyone at the table agrees to, you know, that everyone wants. And I don't know how codified you could make this versus having this as more of a suggested order of operations, right? I don't know how easy it would be to codify every potential thing a character can do into a language that would make it easy, but being able to just suggest to DMs like, hey, work with your players. If you can make it to where they can just give you a clear-cut idea of what they're going to do, everyone does that so you can get a picture of the cinematics and then you play it out, but no one gets to change what they said. And that's just really all I'm trying to solve, right? It's that idea of everybody has a plan and everyone has to stick to it.
Got you.
Simply because of the aspect of simultaneity.
Okay.
Maybe that's like the chapter or the subchapter for the ADMG. It could be called I just had it. Preserving simultaneity.
Preserving simultaneity. Okay.
Like in an ADMG in the combat section, we can just have like the combat chapter.
That'll be
the sub chapter will be preserving simultaneity, and this because essentially I've been thinking a lot about it, and with the ADMG, my goal is not I've officially like made a decision. Like the goal is not to codify high point, right? It is not, the goal is not to make High Point a system. It is not to modularize High Point in the sense of 100%. I'm not going to make, well, maybe the scenario. We'll talk about that someday. But I'm not going to like take Dov's campaign and turn any section into, I'm not going to take the Faction 5 section and turn that into a module. I'm not going to take Septim's Tier and turn it into a working module where I could tell people any knowledge about it on how to work it, right? But what I want to do is I want these to be more of a enhanced guide to taking what you know and then taking it a step further, right? A guide, a suggestion of alterations that have been tried and tested, right? So we've talked about HP. Instead of trying to present the ADMG and the APHB as some sort of new edition of D&D or some sort of new TTRPG, it's more of a, here's how, we'd have a section of HP, right? A whole chapter on HP where it's like, here's how it's traditionally represented, right? And maybe we like kind of do a blurb about the top 3 ways TTRPGs represent health.
Right.
And then the rest of the chapter is suggestions or alterations that we've tested or thought of that give ideas and ways for DMs to either alter it based on what we've said or give them suggestions on how they can do it successfully with their players. So we could talk about how my system, where at a percentage of your max health, you start to degrade until you pass out versus death.
Okay.
Or we could talk about just a point system where at a set value, certain detriments happen. So this isn't saying that here is the set rule book at these points, because I don't know your system. I don't know your TTRPG.
Right.
But if I say, hey, here's the common ways to do it, but if you take HP and make it into a percentage value, and then put benchmarks of percentage and then inflict whatever you think is a good detriment.
Right.
If that's how you want to make HP more realistic in your TTRPG, that's what I want the ADMG to do.
Gotcha.
I want to talk to players in the APHB and give them unique perspectives on how to approach the game, how to approach all the things that we've talked about. What is a class? Mm-hmm. Have a whole chapter on the fact that the class is more than what it gives you, but it should be a representation of your personality, of the type of character you are, the background that you grew up in, right? Those are the kind of things that I want to talk about. It's not just, I don't want it to just be a book of High Point. I don't want it to be a brand new type of game where we're teaching you how to play a new game. But I don't want it to just be a random list of mechanics. I want it to be something that you can read and either pick it up and go, I'm going to use this right here that you wrote, like I'm going to do my percentage thing, or go, this doesn't really do it for me, but you have made me think of XYZ.
This is what I want it to look like. Got you.
And that is what the goal of the ADMG is going to be, is it's the advanced dungeon mastering guide, right? It's not the dungeon master's guide. Like it's the idea, and I've even thought about like changing it up to where we can make it sound like more like a D&D, because that's, like back like the because I
yeah,
want
yeah.
the idea of the ADMG. I guess the subtext or the secondary goal is to bring back the older aspects of D&D, right? I want to dig into first and second edition again. The things that I love about it, we've talked about it: psionics, storytelling, narrative approach, the cinematics being more important. You know, those are the things that I want the ADMG, the APHB, anything that we produce. I feel like that's the direction I want to head, is giving people new ideas on how to explore their own TTRPGs, but as well as bring back what made the TTRPGs of the past so good, right? What, you know, kind of go back to tradition a little bit and bring some of those aspects back in a way that, again, is not, I don't want to recreate 5th edition. I just want to create a book that, just like how supplementals used to do, you can just grab a supplemental and just add that to what you were already playing.
Right.
That's what I want the ADMG to be. Whatever you're playing out there, I just want this to be a reference guide. I mean, it's going to be heavily D&D focused. I mean, we're not going to really be able to get around that.
Mm-hmm.
But the ideas in there should be hopefully more universal to TTRPGs in general. Because again, I don't want to specifically call out how D&D does HP and only talk about how to modify that. I want to make sure that we can address other TTRPGs, which will be great as we start to practice them, as we start to, you know, go to Call of Cthulhu, as we start to kind of look into them and maybe do like little reviews, or at least like little, like, I don't know how we're going to do that yet, but I would like to really focus the ADMG there.
Got you.
Because I that's something that I think that is more missing. Everyone's trying to make their own module. Everyone's trying to make like their own, you know, monster manual that goes with a certain setting. Everyone's trying to make their own setting come to life. Hey, if High Point comes to life, it'll be because of the fans. You know what I mean? Like, if people find out about High Point enough through us gaming through it and like it, I think that's where I'll be happy with it. But yeah, I want to bring what we started the stream for into our productions.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm happy about. I don't know how we're gonna do that just yet, but I'm hopeful we'll be able to pull that off.
I think so too. I definitely think so. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. I know that, especially coming up this summer, that's definitely something that you and I talked about, wanting to focus on some of these projects. And yeah, I am looking forward to what they end up looking like. So
yes. Hello? Why can't I show? Oh. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's right.
oh, got you. Just change the scene. Weird that just the side of it's missing. Oh, is that particular window cropped at all?
I think so. That's all. There we go.
Hey. weird.
All right, so couple of the things that I was trying to figure out, I think especially because we won't be having a huge audience to start out with, and we probably won't have a lot of participants, and just because it's going to be a lot to handle at first, I'm thinking that we should cap this right now at a 2v2 or a 3v3 at most.
I agree.
So that'll make that a lot easier. Don't have to really worry too much there. So match length, because it's going to be like turn-based and everything, I don't know if it should be, I don't think it matters whether we call it a time frame and then break the time frame into rounds, or just call it a direct number of rounds. You know what I mean? Like whether it's 10 minutes and then it's 1 minute per round, so 10 rounds. Like I don't know if we're gonna care that much.
Think that, yeah.
I do think that my initial mindset for this, for like round time frame, was going to be something along the lines of, let's say it's a payload map, right? I was thinking a good way to figure out how to decide a match length is to assume best case scenario. So let's just assume 2v2, 3v3, what have you. Let's assume if round starts, you want at least, I'm thinking a round and a half. Maybe like the first round, the moving team, or like, so moving team, the one that moves it, gets like a round and a half to get to it.
Okay.
So the first round is a full round of movement, and then they'll be able to touch it in that next round, but also go further. Opposing team maybe takes 2 full rounds to touch it where it starts.
Okay.
So thus there's a little bit of a
giving
distance.
The defense team that extra 30 seconds to get to the cart and wait for them to come out like they do in Rivals?
Well, and so there's the option, is that's the other thing, is I don't know how tied we want it to be in terms of, do we want it to be a 1-to-1? Do we, because I've also thought we could just put the payload in the middle and it could be a tug of war. Would that be easier than trying to do a one-way? But a tug of war could last a lot longer, because once you get it so far, then you have to pull it all the way back.
I was actually going to ask you, do you plan on, like, if all of one team gets off the point, if it'll potentially move backwards, kind of like how it does?
I want the cart completely controlled by persons on it. So enemies can move it, but what I want to do is like a 2-to-1. So I guess, yeah, we'll just flip-flop everywhere, because it doesn't really matter how we do this. So my idea was like the cart would be in a position to where, as long as one this is where it comes down to if it's like attack and defense, assuming it's attack and defense, so assuming it's one way, as long as one ally or one push team member is on it, it'll move at, like, let's say for D&D references, 5 squares around. And if it's a 2v2 or a 3v3, it'll change. But if it's 2v2, 2 people on it will move 15. And if it's a 3v3, it'll go 5, 10, 15. The more people on it, the faster it goes.
Sure.
But if it's a 2v2, I don't mind 5 and 15, right? Slow and fast. But what I kind of was hoping for is it's the opposite. One push team can push it, but it takes 2 enemy team to push it the other way. And they only have like 1 speed.
Got it. So if only one person from the enemy team is on it, it's just going to sit still.
And if no one's on it, it sits still. It only moves when no one's touching it.
Like in Rivals, when no one's touching it, but the enemy team was the push team was the last person to touch it, it doesn't like move by itself. It'll have to have somebody like touching it to move it anywhere.
I'm thinking that will allow for more, because I mean we could change it up. Depends on if we want it to be more like Rivals.
For sure.
And it depends on pace. If it seems like that extra speed, because.
And that'll probably take a little bit of play testing to like fully determine.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that's kind of where I'm going with that, is it's going to be a situation of whoever's touching it or within 5 feet. So you could be on it or next to it. But that's where I want to, like, I'm thinking, because that's helping me understand what abilities certain characters should have. Cause there's going to be some abilities that have to be rethought of. And a lot of push abilities, basically being able to push you away from the point, is going to be a big deal, because that's going to be like the whole deal, is getting on the point or pushing people away from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, when it comes to like the match length and the rounds, my idea was assuming the best case scenario, right? And these are going to be stupid, very low numbers, right? These are not going to be the real numbers, but assuming the best case scenario, assuming whatever team got on the point as soon as they could
Mm-hmm.
and pushed it perfectly.
Nobody ever stopped them.
Just
no delay.
however
just
wise.
full speed ahead.
My thought process is we start there.
Okay.
And we work backwards, because if we start there and if we build everything and all of a sudden we play test it, and if someone can steamroll, it's like 1 round, game over. No, that's boring.
Yeah.
But if we play test it and go, wow, even if you have a perfect game, this shit's taking forever. Right? So I'm thinking if we do a perfect game, what we do is like, so let's say we think 10 rounds, right? So if a perfect game, I'm thinking, okay, if we want an average game to last 10 rounds, right? Like make it feel good.
Okay. Is that a theoretical number, or are we actually talking?
Totally theoretical.
Okay.
Or just let's say a perfect game can be won in like a guaranteed perfect game, no one stops them, let's say 6 or like 5 rounds.
Okay, half the time.
And then we're like, okay, well then that means that if we're shooting for 10 and a perfect game could be 5, let's figure out what that would take. Let's put, how quickly would they be able to get onto the point? How fast would the point be moving? And how far would it have to move? Once we can calculate what feels good at the best possible, like you're just steamrolling it.
Okay.
Then we can work backwards, because then it's just going to figure out how much more it can take. But we can also fine tune it to where it's like, man, if these two teams are just perfect, there's just going to be no movement. Then we can kind of adjust for, maybe that's when we say the point moves on its own. It always moves to the pushers as long as there's not an enemy on it, right? Then we can start to rework how do we, and I think that's how video games work, right?
No,
you get the idea of the game, and then but I think because I feel like the best case scenario is the one that everyone's going to shoot for. And if it's not satisfying for either team, right? If it just feels totally bad for the losing team because it's just that quick, because if you can just get on it and then hold it permanently, and then the game's quickly that over and you have no time to strategize, that sucks. But if it takes so long that you realize there's no point to ever put all 3 people on it, is that a good strategy? Is that a bad strategy? Do we want to add that in? Do we want to make it to where there's because I want the advantage that all 3 people are on it, because you're not spread out helping.
Yeah.
So I do want that advantage, but we want that advantage to feel good, both for the team that gets it,
and
but
if
not
everybody's on it, you're all in the same place and potentially able to all get hit with AoE attacks. So
there we go.
I like having the idea of more on it does more.
Exactly.
So
I want to make sure that it feels good for the team doing it, but I also again want to make sure that it doesn't feel super bad or impossible. So that's where I want to go with this
when it comes to maps, because I'm thinking we're not going to want a drastically ginormous map for this, right? So if we're thinking theoretically, and whenever I guesstimate, I always try to like to guesstimate big, right? So like theoretically, if we have 3 people per team, right? 3 people per team, and all 3 people are on the point, and we want more people per point. So like each phase, it's 15 feet if all 3 people are on it, and 5 feet if just one person's on it.
Correct. So I'm thinking, yeah.
So then the question would be how many, so 15 times 5 theoretically would get you 5 rounds of distance.
Correct.
But if the map, if like where the cart is traveling, say it's like a serpentine, then you can get more distance in a theoretically smaller
map size. Correct.
Because you're
and that's where because you nailed it too, is that's where figuring out those simple numbers, right? If we say that a perfect game is 5 rounds.
Sure.
And then we calculate out 5 times 15, that's this long is the track. Then we have to go, okay, how long is a normal round? Assuming they only go, like, how long would a game be if they only went 5 feet per round?
Sure.
Because if we figure out that that's way too long of a game, if that's just going to be, 2 hours on a stream at a perfect game, we don't want to do that, right? Because I'm kind of hoping that this is also kind of like, we can play. Yeah. I mean, I want to play a couple of these on stream. If we're on for 2 hours, I want to be able to play half a dozen games with chat. Like,
I don't. 2 hours, you want to be able to play 6 games?
I don't know. Eventually, like.
Sure.
If people were rolling through it, because it would be pretty quick, right? It would be quick to set up. There's no load time. Like the queue's there. I'm thinking like, I don't want each game to take an hour, but we can't make them 5 minutes like Marvel Rivals, right?
Sure.
So, maybe even a half hour. For if we can get it locked in when we're in the groove of things, because this should be pretty quick, right? It should be the person in queue picks a character, they know what they can do, they'll have like a cue card, we'll figure out how to do all of that stuff. Maybe we'll display them on the screen or whatever. But then the idea will just be somehow we have triggers on like either commands or something. And that's would probably be the best way is I can just make a crap ton of commands in Stream Elements. So whoever character you are, you will just have a cue card you can read, and whatever you want to do will just have a command. And then you can write the command, it'll pop up in stream. Maybe I can have it do like a visual, and we just have that. And then if we have to clarify things, right? But yeah, I'm thinking it could be quick. It's not going to be like D&D where everyone's super explaining in detail what's happening. That should be on us, right? The idea is that we're the narrators, but we're taking all of what they're trying to do and best apply it to the situation. So they have full control of what's happening. We're just trying to sit there, almost kind of like, esports narrators.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost like that. We will present the game less like a DM narrating a story and more like announcers narrating a sporting match, which I think would also be more entertaining.
I think that would be way cool. I like that. Right now, because of our size, I totally imagine us being involved in it. But like, I do like getting to the point where we are, just like you said, like, I don't know why the first thing that came to my mind is I started watching these weird robot battles where people like will build these robots and they'll like go into an arena.
Yeah,
and, like,
robot.
I forget what the fuck it's called, but like it was good shit. And I just loved like the commentators just sitting up there like, oh, these guys are building this shit and they're like blowing each other up. It was fucking wild. But like, right? I totally could see us getting to the point where that's all we do.
And imagine if we were just the
facilitating.
What if we were the announcer narrator for the opposite teams? So it's like I could come in and be like, Spider-Man swooping in and he knocks off Wolverine right off the point, and then they take it. Oh, if they don't get off, they're gonna go back 5 feet, and then you're like, oh, but here he comes in initiative. Here comes Hulk. He comes swinging in and knocks Spidey off.
Yep.
And then it's like we could sit there and actually have a really cool back and forth, acting in a way like DMs, but not in any way really controlling like what's happening.
Yeah.
That's what I look forward to this. Like I look forward to this being that fluid. Okay, so that's where I think this is where the playtesting will be, because if we say, in theory, all this sounds good, right? In theory, all in concept,
all things, yes.
But again, let's do some quick maths. So 15 feet times 5 rounds is 75 feet. Now, assuming right now we're just purely assuming D&D logic. We're not. We have yet to adjust for anything else.
Sure.
So 75 feet from, let's say it starts outside your point and you have to get it to the other side of the map where they're spawning.
Mm-hmm.
75 feet is 2.5 rounds of movement. If assuming a 30-foot regular. Like
that wouldn't it be 15 feet?
No, for a character.
Oh,
for a character, that's 2.5 rounds of movement.
Okay, no, that's
to
decent.
Pass the entirety of the map from point to point.
That's if you're not serpentining. That's if it's a straight line.
Yeah. And then we could make different directions and everything. I think the maps
different obstacles.
I definitely think the maps are gonna evolve. I think it's gonna be like straight line at first. Like we can just map it as a bridge. You just have a bridge and you just have to push it across the bridge.
Yeah.
See, we can really have some fun with this because it's Marvel Rivals, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Man, imagine like one of the payload maps is team has to push it onto a bridge, like only halfway. So it's still like the same distance, but the map is like you have all of this sprawling land that you have to get the thing to, but once you're on the bridge, you have to push it like 30, 40 feet into the center, while the other team's trying to stop you from the bridge so they can like make defenses. And this is interesting because this could grow, and I could see this not just being a quick round like Marvel Rivals, but I can also see this growing into steadily just growing puzzles for chat that just slowly eventually become like gaming.
Oh,
like we do this where you guys are gaming, and then again we do a different one where it's like, hey, you have to push this onto a bridge, but there's a barricade in the way. So it's like, this isn't normal Marvel Rivals, but now it's like we give them a challenge of that.
Yeah.
And then you could just slowly make different maps to where they slowly shift from playing the Marvel's characters into D&D full character. So I could see this being a really good transition. So if we think, so if 75, let's just, serpentining will get better at. But so let's just assume a straight map. So 75 feet, if you're going 5 rounds, perfect, right? That would mean that the overall maps, and this is why I want to start here, is because this also gives us the idea of what the map looks like distance-wise. Again, Serpentine can make the map smaller, but the distance further, but still the idea, the distance of how far the cart has to move, I think is important.
Yeah.
Because that means, excuse me, that means that if it only went 5 feet around 75 rounds, that's insane. That's my see
we
what I'm
would have
saying?
to make it a lot smaller for that to be semi-realistic.
Like, it's almost like, well, like that right there immediately tells me the cart has to move on its own.
Yeah.
Like 100% that cart cannot not be moving unless the enemies are holding it. But that also tells me there has to be a alternative
I would even say like
win option.
Every initiative movement the cart moves. So like imagine like you start at the top of the round and we have 6 of us, right? The first person.
So the cart moves at the end of your turn.
Cart moves 5 feet at the end of your turn.
I was thinking at the end of the round. So based on who ends on that round, it moves. But the end of your turn,
that was originally what we're talking about, but this could be another option if it is a much further thing. So you
just
make a
at
lot
the
more
end,
progress.
Or just at the end of any turn, the cart will move if anyone's on it.
Yes.
So if I jump on it and my turn ends, it moves 5 feet. You do your move over there and I'm still on it, I move 5 feet. That enemy hits me, but I'm still on it, I move 5 feet. Enemy jumps on, it doesn't move. And okay, so in that particular case,
are we liking one of these more than the other?
Well, so
I mean, these are all options. Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Let's math it out then. So in that particular case, assuming the best possible. So in that, okay, so assuming best possible, that would mean that moving the cart at the same pace, 75. And let's see, there would be, are we doing this, are we going to math it out as a 2v2 or a 3v3? Let's figure it out.
I'm thinking, like I said, overestimation, estimated as a 3v3.
Okay, so as a 3v3, because I just want to make sure we get that right. So at a 3v3,
there would be 6 initiatives.
Thank you. That's,
yeah.
I don't know why I was having such a hard time.
No, yeah.
So at 6 initiatives, okay, hold on. So 6 initiatives, it can move at best case scenario 15 feet times 6 initiatives. It would move 90 feet if in one round.
If it moved only 5 feet every turn?
15 feet. If
it moved 15.
Perfect. Imperfect. So if all 3 pushers were on it and it moved 15 feet every initiative round,
it'd be 90 feet instead of 75.
But that's only if we
and that's
are.
In how many rounds? That's in one round?
That's in one round because that's 6. Well, that's in 6 initiatives. So that's 1 per round. So 6 initiatives at 15 feet per initiative. So I mean, that's only with our original idea of each person pushes it that much faster.
Sure.
It doesn't have to be that much faster. It could be one person always keeps it, or it, because even 10 rounds would be 60. So, so I gotta go turn off the water real quick. It's more of the question. It's the balance, right? Because
I think it would be one of the things where you'd have to choose one or the other. Like
okay, so
either collectively it moves more, or it moves at the end of every initiative.
Yeah, because with these are the 2 I think pillars that we have to decide. This, right? How fast it can move based on who's on it, and I think we need to nail down how long. So 3 pillars: how fast it can move based on who's on it.
Okay.
How long should a perfect game be, versus how long a really difficult game should be. And by that, I don't mean like it should ever be ongoing, right? There should be a default condition. Like if we say that a good, perfect game should be let's say, but by this standard, let's say still 5 rounds. A perfect game can still be 5 rounds. But we realize that a very slow game can't last 75. We could say that while a best game is in 5, you have 20 or the game's over. Or you lose.
Yeah, and I think
so a losing condition
that's very akin to Rivals. Like there's a time limit. So like if you don't get it there by X amount of time, then time's up. You lose type deal.
So that's the math that we have to do. So we have to figure out how fast can it move, and in a perfect game, how far would that be?
Okay.
And then based off of that, how long would it take, or what would be if that's too far with the slowest pace? What's the cutoff? Okay. Like if it, if a long game, if we don't want a long game taking more than 15 rounds, but we say a perfect game should be 5 rounds, maybe that's fine. But if we say a perfect game should be 7 rounds, we can't have we can't have the cap at 12. That's not enough of a margin what's the word? It's like not enough of a margin of error. Right. It's almost like you basically have to be perfect or you lose the game.
Yeah.
We want it to feel like the struggle can be fun and you still have a chance. But I really don't want, if you steamroll them, I really don't want people to get steamrolled and be like, I don't want to play this. It's too easy to steamroll.
Right.
Right. You got to make both sides feel justified in what their actions were. So yeah, let me go turn off the water and then we'll do some math, try to figure this out.
Okay. So just so that I can think out loud a little bit, what I'm kind of getting from a lot of this is we're gonna need to like draft up 2 scenarios and figure out which one's gonna be the most ideal for us. One scenario is gonna be the version where we are where it moves at the end of every round. And then the other version is going to be at the end of every round. So like after everyone's gone, then the cart moves. And then the other one will be if it moves at the end of every person's go.
Like initiative, yeah.
And so I definitely think we need to like lay out a little bit of groundwork. I think, and this is only from my experience in like actual combat, and maybe it's different because we'll actually, once we have all of these like move sets and exactly what they do like spaced out, stuff will just move faster. But as of right now, like I've never seen a D&D combat actually make it to 10 rounds.
Well, and like, so that's where respawning is going to be a thing. So we're going to have to replicate the respawn, which I already have ideas for.
But like, even with that being said, I've seen combats last an hour. So I've seen sub 10 round combats last an hour.
Yeah.
So, and again, that could just be because of the complications of everything you can do in D&D.
And I think a lot of it's that. I think a lot of it is if you had a cue card that had like 4 things you could do.
Sure.
Kind of like 4th edition used to do it. I think that would speed it up because you really, and especially because it's not D&D, you're not playing a character, you're not thinking about things, you have a job, right? You're either going to be dealing damage, stopping someone from going somewhere, pushing them around, or healing, right? Like you're going to have some pretty set ideas of what you need to be doing, and everyone's going to have a very clear idea on what the goal is, right? There's not going to be like hidden objectives or, all, you know what I mean? Like I have a feeling that the most you could take is if the players are actually like talking to each other and trying to like collab, right?
Right.
And that's where if we wanted to do that, we could, time everything. So it's
I
like,
would
hey,
say, yes,
you have 2 minutes
a
and then
counter to take your turn, like,
And if we had the codes, right? So we could just be like, okay, round starts, you have 2 minutes and put a counter on screen. And you have 2 minutes to everyone put in the code. The moment we get all the codes or, all the commands, we narrate it. Sure. Or at the end of two rounds, maybe we have like a default. What happens?
You want to start doing that here?
Okay. We like right up the gate. So it's like
you want to start your dynamic initiative in one-shot Rivals. So we're not trying to do this like the standard 5th edition way. We're trying to do this with the narrative base, kind of like we were talking about at the beginning of the stream.
Yeah. Now, and I think that works better too. We can play around with static initiative to see if that works better. Like one team goes, the other team goes. But I kind of like the dynamic initiative. It would be probably a really easy thing to program. Just to every round, just hit a button and it just recycles everybody in a different order.
I don't mind adjusting the initiative order, but it's more of you give all the cards and then narrate how it plays out. So like if two people are attacking the one person and that one person goes down, you still attack that one person, like we were talking about at the beginning of the stream.
Well, I don't know about that because it would just be more of, I just meant like everyone gets in their cards, like everyone has 2 minutes to think about what they're doing, right? But that's just to speed up the stream. It's like if at the end of 2 minutes, if I don't have everyone's command, I'm just going to default your character, every character will have like a default move, and maybe we write that in. Like if no actions are taken, your character does X, Y, Z. Like heals itself or moves towards the point.
Sure.
But the idea, the counter is just to make sure that we're not waiting on chat to like, what are you guys doing? We're like, we're here, we're trying to be entertaining. So it's like, hey, 2 minutes, that gives us 2 minutes to chat. We could sit there and be like, what is Spider-Man gonna do? He's right on the point. Hulk just jumped in on him. We don't know. And then as we see those commands come in of everyone saying what they're doing, then like we can just start, rushing the initiative order, right? Like once the first person in the initiative comes in, we can say what they do.
Got you.
So I don't know if we want to wait till everyone's in and then we run through it, or it's just I want to make sure that everyone knows you got to get your commands in, you got to be ready to like what you're gonna do, and we're just responsible for narrating it in the order either that it comes in or the initiative order itself.
Got
right?
you.
And that would be really interesting too. Maybe something really unique is we read it in the order it comes in, so it's like once we say okay, round 2, go. If you know what you want to do and you have it pre-typed, you're going. That's how it works in Marvel Rivals. Like as competitive, if you know what you're doing better than the next person without hesitation. So, we could do it like that, or we could do dynamic initiative as in we're going to give you a countdown. Like once the round ends, we'll give you guys 30 seconds. And once that ends, you can start submitting.
Got you.
And then we're just going to read it in order. So at that point you can wait. Maybe you want to wait. Maybe you're like, okay, I have a couple commands. I can copy paste. What's he gonna do? He's gonna do that. Okay, copy. You know what I mean? Like you could wait, or you could just be like, no, I know what I'm gonna do. I want to do this. So that could be really interesting. I don't know.
Okay.
Because we are gonna have like a queue of people. So the idea is those that are selected, we should be able to do like a way where like their text only highlight, like maybe their text highlights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see that how much integration we can do into Twitch versus if we're going to need a VTT is also a big deal. I need to do research. That's not going to be done today, but I need to figure out if I can integrate this with Twitch, or if we can get a way to do it in a VTT that's more customizable, like at least like the actions, the roles and things of that sort. Okay. So when it comes down to being on the point, we just have to figure out what is a proper distance and what is a proper time frame to fight to get there.
I think that's a good place to start. Just like if we're realistically looking at like how long, like you said, quickest round versus like time limit, right? So like theoretically, if there was a steamroll, if the opposition literally stayed in their point the entire time and didn't do anything, how long do we think realistically it should take for team A to get it to the other point?
So perfect. So my idea is that if you have to respawn, you're going to respawn back at the other side. And that's another area of how long should it take you to get back to the point. Now, obviously the point's getting closer to you every time. So that's the benefit. So the entire length, if you were holding it back and then you get respawned, coming back, I don't want it to take like 5 rounds to get back, because that's just going to make everyone mad. But I also don't want the enemy team that's defending, to just immediately be always on the point, right? Like you have to get the whole point where if they team wipe you, they should be able to move at a good distance, right? So if we were going to do something, say like the 75 feet or something like that, 2.5 rounds, and that's assuming that we keep the character speed at 30.
So that's an interesting point, because I've noticed, so like recently there have been some, like, how you have like different missions that you can do, like dailies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I get some, and I've been playing Emma Frost. Emma Frost has like no movement abilities. But there's a lot of other characters that do, like Luna Frost. She can basically ice skate.
Yeah, she just naturally moves faster, right?
Jeff, he can go under. So do we want to have some characters that basically have the ability to dash?
Yes, 100%. And that's where maybe bringing down the standard speed would be good. So if we brought down the standard speed to, like, let's say average of 15. So the average characters will have 15. Dashes will then mean they can go up to 30, and some characters may be able to go 20, like Luna, like like Emma Frost would be able to go, 20 because she skates,
Sure.
kind of thing. I could see that. I could easily see that. So yeah, because my biggest thing is in calculating how long a steamroll should take, I want to calculate okay, so assuming that the round starts, they got on point, and they're either actively defending, meaning they have more people on it than the enemy team, or they just keep sending the enemy team back. One of those two things is happening. In that particular case, let's say it's 5 rounds, right? Just using that as a basic number. If we say 5 rounds, but we say it takes 2 rounds from their base back, that means that if they team wipe, it's going to take them 2 rounds to get back, but this thing is going to be pushing forward, right? So we just kind of have to figure out if we want to make sure there's enough rounds. Do
you think that
for
the slowest enemy, say 15 feet is the slowest, is the standard walking speed, right? Do you think that 3 rounds is too long to get from spawn to spawn?
Because that would be... Maybe this is just... and maybe what we really have to do is really take a step back from D&D. Because the more I think about this, the more that D&D movement and this doesn't really equate, right? Like 15 feet of movement 3 times is only 45 feet. So from spawn to spawn, that's not very far. Which means that 45 feet, would only be 3 rounds of a steamroll.
But I think that there should be something said for the cart has to serpentine, but you don't.
Yeah, so but I also think the cart should also be moving slower than the characters. Because the cart doesn't move as fast as any of the characters.
That's very true.
So that's the other aspect as well. A character could get across the map in X number of turns. The cart should take X number more turns. So in that particular case, the cart shouldn't able to go like 15 feet, because then that would be as fast as a character. Which would also mean that a character, if you left them behind, wouldn't be able to catch up to it. So that would also suck. So maybe the thing then is we go back to the bridge idea. Maybe it's not point to point. Maybe the spawns are different than the objective points. I don't have to get it to your spawn. I just have to get it a certain distance to another area.
Okay.
So maybe it's more of... because we don't have to do the multiple spawns and it constantly progressing, sure. Right? But thinking about how that works, we could have a serpentine where it goes somewhere, like let's say you have spawn here where the pushers are, and you have like a spawn here where the defenders are, but the point is here. Okay. So I'm trying to do this. You guys can run here to stop us.
Got you.
You guys can run here to stop us, and then you guys can run here to stop us.
Yeah.
But we still have to get it that distance, so you have a little bit of
I'm okay with I like that. I like that.
So if that's the case, then we could do, if every character had a base 15, then we can say that as long as a character is on the point, or I mean, again, because we're only doing 3v3, you don't want to focus everybody, right? Because you don't have 6 players, right? Even when you have 6 players, only half the team ever sits on the point.
Sure.
So maybe what it is once activated, so it takes a whole round to activate. So you have to get an ally on the point. Once you've sat on it for a whole round. So as long as you're on the point till the start of your next turn, we'll say that.
Sure.
It activates. That's like the activation queue is as long as you're on the point at the start of your next turn,
the cart will start moving.
The cart will activate. And it moves at 5 feet, period. Unless someone's actively on it, then it moves at 10 feet. That's it. No more, no less, because then that way every character can catch up to it.
Okay.
And it still moves on its own, but you don't require the entire team to really like push themselves like that.
Yeah.
But if all 3 are near it and you knock one off, you're still getting that at 10 feet.
Sure.
Same thing with the enemies. The enemies have to stay on it for an entire round, and then they deactivate
without
it.
Anybody else, without any allies.
Yes. If they're on it by themselves, they can deactivate it.
Got you.
But if it's 2 people keep touching it on both sides of the team, it keeps moving 5 feet. Like if an enemy and an ally are on it, it's still going to keep moving at 5 feet.
I thought if an enemy was on it, that's what stops it.
No, an enemy has to deactivate it for a whole round. So if an enemy and an ally are actively fighting on it, it still should be moving forward because it's activated. It doesn't go at the faster speed. And maybe that's not what it should do. Maybe just once you touch it, it like once you've been on it for a round, it deactivates regardless of anyone else is on it. Because it could be that like as long as an enemy touches it, it deactivates. Period. Because that is because even in Marvel Rivals, if you have more than if you have 3 and they only have 1, it still moves forward, right? Oh, okay.
So if anybody is touching the point, no matter if you have all 6 of your opponents on it, it stops right there.
So
but there's that little color wheel, like they have to do it and then it'll start moving backwards.
Oh, that's
and then
right.
The other person has control over it, right?
I don't mind just making it stop. Period. Like once the enemy touches it 5 feet of it or whatever, it stops moving, and then and again they have to stay there. So it has to
adjacent. Yes.
So it's always like, so activation and deactivation is always at the start of your next turn, but you have to have been on the point. So once an enemy touches the point at the start of their next turn, it deactivates.
Okay. Yes. And it needs to be reactivated in order to start moving again.
So you have to push them off, and then you have to stay on.
That is what I think the big benefit of wiping and like taking activation of the point is, like you require them to have an entire other round to get it to start moving again.
Gotcha.
You touch it and it stops moving, but they're still in control of it. So if they move you away, it's going to instantly start moving again. But if you take that whole round, then they have a whole round of 0 movement, especially if it moves at the end of every person's turn. Because then at the end of every person's turn, you're missing out on all of that movement until you reactivate it.
Okay. So in that particular case, we're looking at a point that, let's say I want to get it from point A to point B. And at best, it'll move 10 feet.
Sure.
Every round. So
are we thinking every round or at the end of each person's go?
Let's talk about that. What are the pros and cons of initiative? Initiative is faster. It'll constantly be moving. But initiative doesn't account for activation and deactivation. So the card itself just always moves at the end of an initiative, right? But that also means that at the end of every initiative, if you're on it, you're getting it to move 10 feet every initiative versus 5. Okay.
So again, with that,
I don't think that'll work though, simply because that does mean it's still faster than the average character. Because even at 5 feet, every initiative, it's 6 initiatives, and if I can average only 3 feet or 15 feet, and it can move 6, like 5 feet, and I can only move 3, it's twice as fast as me. So I do think that it should just be at the cycle of every round.
Yes, I do agree with that.
Because we're brown-based combat, if you come in and touch the point, but in that same movement leave, you shouldn't deactivate the point. The point should
not deactivate it, but again, it's like, the way I'm thinking about it is
because it's almost like I want it to have its own initiative. Like the cart is last in initiative. That's how I think of it.
But see, the thing is, say if, with that being the case, if the pushing team is on it, they're moving it, and the enemy team comes and they get within 5 feet of it, but then before the end of the round, somebody moves them away, them coming within 5 feet of it didn't help. Didn't do anything.
Right. But technically that's kind of how it would work in Marvel Rivals. Like if you swing in and then someone blasts you and pushes you away, or does something, it's very minimal activity, right? And remember, we're thinking about 2v2, maybe 3v3.
Sure.
So the idea of one person just being able to tap it, stop it, and then leave,
and that's why I was thinking it would only stop it for that initiative round, like that specific after that person's turn.
I'm not sure. I don't know if I'm that worried until we get to play testing if by the end of the round would be too bad, because depending on, and that's where I guess the tactics would be, right? You could jump in to touch it, but if there's an enemy on it that can push you, you would have to take that risk.
Yeah.
And I think that's the goal, right? That's why we have all of the different characters, is if Hulk's there and he can, that he can hit a small character and knock them away, maybe don't jump on the point right now. Maybe wait till he moves or do something else, right? Versus, yes, you take that chance, but maybe he has something else in mind that he did, right? So I don't know.
I do think that if we do it if it only moves at the end of the round, having a constantly shifting initiative will be a lot more valuable, because then you won't get like locked into a specific play where every single time I try and go and do something, this dude's just gonna come in and smack me with the thing every single time.
Assuming you can just put Hulk on there and he can just do this every time you jump in. He just boom, nope,
sure,
boom, nope. Like, I 100% agree with you. Yes, I think dynamic initiative will make the tactics of the game, and it will make every character shine better because each of them work best when they're used in a certain combination and in a certain order. So some of these builds, how is a team gonna get synergized if they don't go next to each other, right? Like, we need to be able to synergize those teams once in a while. So I'm okay doing that. I'm 100% okay doing that. We could even consider doing team initiative instead of
player initiative.
That's basically just going back and forth on a whole bunch of people getting to do actions. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how much more chaotic that would be. I think individual initiative would be 5, especially with only 4 to 6 people.
I feel like team initiative will be hard if, again, it only moves at the end of the round. And whoever goes second has the benefit.
True.
Because they get to see everything that you, not necessarily see everything that you did, but like, they get the last opportunity to move somebody off of the way from the point to either potentially stop it from moving or not. So.
And we could play around with, like, the cart could have its own initiative, but the cart could be last initiative, it could be first initiative, or it could be middle. We could make it dynamic like that to where
you could add it to the dynamic initiative trackers.
Yeah,
like,
or it's like it always moves in the middle of a round. So it's always initiative 5 out of, like, let's say 10. So always the cart. Like, and so you were saying, like, at the end of a round, it kind of sucks because what if someone jumped on and then pushed you off? But what if the cart moved at a set point in the round and everyone's working around it? Not
I do, even though it theoretically is no different.
It really isn't.
But it feels different in the round, especially when stuff's happening back and forth. So
we could, so maybe the cart.
If we did have a 3v3, putting it at initiative 4? So 3 people go. The cart moves, then 3 more people go.
Essentially, yeah.
Like that would be
like best case scenario if everyone had their own initiative, right? That even with we have a 3v3, 6 initiative, yeah. So it's like that would be interesting if we just locked it into a middle round. It doesn't have to be, because I think you're right. I think it doesn't really matter, but I think in the mind, knowing it goes at the end of the round makes it feel like if you don't do what you want to do, you didn't affect it. But if it's like, I did this, the cart moves, and then someone stops it, it's like, but we moved it. Like, there's something about it moved, even though midway I wasn't done. Maybe we'll consider that. So I like this idea. So let me write that down. The payload. Oh, look at that. Movement 5, 10, 15, or 5, 15. End of round, start of round. I actually wrote that as my notes of when we should move it. So end of round or middle of round is what I think we are happy with. I do think we like the idea of like an action timer, maybe around 2 minutes. If when we're waiting for people to like trigger their stuff. Let's see. So play styles. So turn-based versus simultaneity. That was what we were talking about earlier, where do we have everyone submit it and then we just narrate it all at once, or do we submit it, or do we narrate it as it comes in through that initiative? Like, do we tell them, hey, roll initiative, this is the order you will submit in, as you submit it I will narrate, or do we have them all do it all at once and then we just narrate it in order?
So I have a couple of thoughts on that. If we're having them submit it just straight up in Twitch chat, then everybody else that hasn't gone yet can see what they submitted and potentially be like, oh, you did that, oh, I'm gonna do this.
Sure.
Oh, and there's really not a huge way for us to mitigate that.
Which isn't that big of a deal as long as they're fast about it, which is why the countdown timer matters, because if you're quickly reacting, that's fine. I just don't want you to be like, oh, they did that, well, hold on.
Sure.
Like, it shouldn't be that. It should just be more of a, I plan to move, oh, they're there, I'm not gonna move. But you're right. It's a little bit more difficult to do if they can all see it. If it's in a VTT, it'd be a lot of, oh, hey, what is up? Thank you so much, Hecate, for a 10-month subscription. Wow, 10 months. Let's go.
Let's get it, man.
It's been forever.
It's 10 months. Just being able to be subscribed to us for 10 months.
I know, right? That's insane. Thank you. But yeah, it's interesting because yeah, I don't know how much we are going to worry about metagaming with how little can really be done. If it speeds up the game, you know, I don't mind, like, because we even talked about like, should there even be initiative, or is it first come first serve? Is it just if you're fast enough, are you reacting fast enough? Or should we constantly have a flushed initiative? And we can even write that into like a code or something that just shovels everyone's name. You know, we can just instantly press a button and just reorders their names, and that's your initiative, which I think would be fine.
I think if anything, that should be out of their hands and just be automatic.
No dice. Yeah, no dice rolls. No, because again, it doesn't have to be fully D&D right now. This is just a TTRPG style version of it. Okay, so we can have, so the initiative, I don't think I have. So yeah, chat, join, rotation. So initiative will be dynamic and automated. So that's going to be handled just in the background, no big deal. Let's see. So we still need to figure out, like, maybe match length won't be figured out until we like start to develop maps and develop the characters. But I'm liking this idea of a grid style map, like a hexagon style map, because that way you can get all directions.
Sure.
I like this idea that the cart needs to move slower than the people, and it needs to move in a way that feels good. And we can go back. My biggest concern about going back to like letting them have D&D movement where it's like 30 per player and like up to 15 for the speed is just knowing how long the game could take if it was only moving at 5 feet, right? I feel like making the characters a little bit slower makes that, you know, a little bit better. Or we can just make the cart a minimum of 10 feet. You know, we can speed the cart up as well. I just want to make sure that the cart doesn't go faster than characters, because I don't want them to not be able to catch up to it.
Yeah.
But I don't want the difference between the steamrolling and the minimum speed to be that different either, right? Like if steamrolling is going to take 5 rounds, I don't want the minimum speed, even if you are steamrolling at the minimum speed, I don't want that to take 20.
Yeah.
That's my biggest concern is making sure that the steamroll and the steady pace both feel satisfying and not drawn out.
It's hard because even if you steamroll it with only one person on it versus steamrolling it with 2 people on it, the only difference is 5 feet. It's gonna take twice
as long. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So
maybe it should be 10 and 15. What if the base was 10? And if characters' bases were 15, you wouldn't be able to be outran by it. You'd be able to catch up to it. And well, if characters,
if it's moving at your speed, then it would be just out of your reach.
Oh, okay. So maybe base character speed could be 20.
Sure.
Because you don't want to just, you know, you also want it to like, man, yeah. So if base characters were 20, that means slow characters could be 15 if we had a slow character. But that would be like, again, the worst case scenario is you can't catch up to a cart that's at max.
And even theoretically, like I said, Emma doesn't have any movement, but there is an ability that she has when she goes into her diamond form where she like rams at somebody like and choke slams them into the ground.
Yeah.
Like that could theoretically give you some movement. And so like give you that little extra oomph to like get beyond whatever it would be. You would have to use some of your economy. You'd have to use some of your kit in order to make it happen. But
so let's say we did so if we did, let's say 100 wait a second. About okay. So if we made the goal from the pusher's point of view, if once you got on it, if we made that goal 90 feet away, so again, like assuming easy, let's make it like T, like our first map could probably be a T, right? So you have 90 feet to go. Enemy spawns here, they can meet you right at the gate, they can meet you halfway, and then they have a shortcut to the end. So that way they're never too far behind. If we made it 90 feet, that would mean that if we made the base speed of the cart 10, once you're on it and activated, 9 rounds, and you win. At the base speed of 10. If you steamrolled at 15 feet, if you had more than 2 people on it, 6 rounds.
Okay.
That's a decent spread. And if that's the case, if it's a 6 to 9, and that's if you're just chugging along, we can make the cap like 15. So that gives a handful of rounds for the enemies to stop you. So that means they only have to stop you. So you have to go, you could either win in 6 or 9, but if we do 15, that means that they have to stop you for at least 6 rounds.
So if we're doing that
actually feels pretty good.
How long are we staying around it? Is it around 2 minutes, that 2-minute timer?
Or no, it's just everyone's initiative.
That's what I'm saying. How long do you imagine that everyone's initiative will take?
I mean, what's the reason for the question?
Because that would be how long. So
you mean real life timer?
Yeah, like in like as we're playing this game,
right.
How long do you imagine it'll take everyone to actually?
If we do a 2-minute timer, that's roughly a half-hour game. At 15-minute max, or at 15 rounds, 2 minutes a round, it's about a half-hour game, and that's at the max round. That's if defenders are maximizing everything. Because think about this, right? It takes 6 rounds at a steamroll. It takes 9 rounds at a good pace, but it only takes the enemy team stopping you for 6 rounds.
That's not including us narrating what happened and
True.
us doing all the things. So it'll be 2 minutes for them to get their information in. How long for us to actually run everything?
I mean, it shouldn't take more than a minute. So even at 3 minutes around, because I mean, again, it should be if each character can only do like 4 things, right? It's like you move, you do your special, you do your basic, or you do your ult kind of thing, right? Like, and then yeah, there'll be some things where we have to calculate. It'll probably take more like 5 minutes per round, but 15 rounds. What? 15 rounds at 5 minutes?
And just beat the devil out of it.
I mean, it's 70. So that's an hour per round. That'd be 75 minutes. So it can be
an hour
up to
per game.
Per game. I don't know if that's too much because I kind of wanted them to be quicker, but I don't know how to make them any quicker.
I mean, it would. I think the only thing, because I like the 10 feet, 15 feet. I like the spread between the two. Instead of 90 feet, what would it look like if it were 60 feet?
It would be 6 rounds on a steamroll, 4 rounds on a progressive, like just progressively going at pace.
You mean 6 rounds?
Or it would be
4 rounds steamroll.
Yeah, 4 rounds to steamroll, 6 rounds at a progressive pace,
and then the total game
probably 10 rounds. Because again, I think like that would just mean that the enemy team would have to be in control of it for an accumulative of 4 rounds.
Yes.
So technically that does give the push team the advantage. Or no, it gives the defense team the advantage technically, because in order to win in 4 rounds, the push team has to steamroll. But technically, if we made a max 10 rounds, the best... But yeah, it only takes 6, so 4. So yeah, it would only take the enemy team stopping you for 4 rounds. So that's just that's the win condition.
Well, if they would have to stop you for 6 rounds.
No, only because if the max rounds is 10, that's what I was saying. Think about the max, right? So if it only takes me 6 rounds to get to the end, but I have 10 to do it, you'd have to stop me for 5 rounds. So yeah, that's actually not too bad. If it takes me 6 rounds to win, I have 10 rounds to do it. And even if you stop me for 4, I'd win. You'd have to stop me for 5 rounds while I have to successfully do it for 6. So that's actually not a bad. That's almost that's.
I mean, and we can play with that distance a little bit if we want to go a little bit higher than 60.
Yeah. But I don't think that's too bad though, because that 6th round is you activating it. Like, it's you getting on.
Yeah.
But that doesn't account for. No, that's good. That even if the defending team holds it at the very beginning of the round for 4 rounds, 5 rounds, that's basically win condition. Same thing as if you held it for 6 rounds, win condition. I don't think a 1 win condition difference, because they don't have a chance to steamroll you. So while the defenders only have to hold it for 5, and you normally would have to hold it for 6, the pushers have a chance to steamroll at 4. So that's why. That could be a pretty damn good balance. Okay. So let's look at 60 feet. I'm okay with this. So match lengths. So are we going with 10 rounds or 12 rounds?
I like for 60
Max.
feet, I like 10.
Because it's not even so much for the distance, it's more of the win conditions. Are we good with 4-6 versus 5? The pushers get either it in 4 or 6, and the defense, they have to hold it for 5.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Actually, technically, you could even say if it's a really, really good match, they could technically have to hold it for 6.
That's what I'm saying. If
or 7, because if they steamroll the last minute.
Yeah, exactly.
So
if every round they do have control of it, there are steamrolling. Even if you stop me at one point in between, like I can.
Yeah, but there will be a point at which you can no longer steamroll. Like, yes. They've held you back enough that even if you steamrolled it now, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe the 90. Okay, so I like that. So match length. So
now
it's 90 feet. For payload.
How do you feel about, because in Rivals they have that overtime mechanic where if it's close, you keep going until there's a winner type deal. Like, give them like that other opportunity. Are we not worried about that? I
think it should just be like, I mean, if they're holding it at like the square where it's like the team to go down is the winner, or the loser, I will totally let another round go.
So I've always wanted to know this. I don't think I've ever actually experienced it. So you know how when there's like 30 seconds left, or like 10 seconds left on the clock, right? And it starts in the yellow numbers and everything, and say there's nobody on the point but the pushers. There's only 10 seconds left on the clock, but there's no way you're gonna get to the end in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Does it go to overtime, or do you just lose? There's nobody contesting you. You're on the point. You've got all your people on it, pushing it forward. There's only 10 seconds left, but it's going to take you a minimum of 20 seconds to get.
Are you talking about in Marvel or in
actual Marvels?
I don't know. Well, I don't.
I've never seen that actually happen, so I'm not sure how that works.
Well, because it wouldn't do, because once the timer's done, whoever's in control, like that's where it cuts out. The only reason why it would do the extra bit is if there's like been a contestation already. Like if you contested it at the last second and then died, then it will have that countdown. But if that contest never happened,
that's my point.
The countdown would never start.
So if the countdown never starts and you run out of time, you just lose.
Yeah,
you just lose. So there's a certain point in time, because I've seen that countdown happen. I've seen that countdown happen like right when you're right at a checkpoint, which will extend your time theoretically. But if you're not close enough to a checkpoint, if none of that stuff is the case, and you run into that situation, I know in competitive, it matters literally the distance you get. And so
every little moment matters.
Little bit you push actually counts. But like in a regular quick play game, like you just lose. Yeah. You just get defeated. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking, so with this one, then I kind of like the idea that if the final round ends and it's a contest, like there are actively both sides on here, I wouldn't mind pushing it until one side's pushed off full. Then that's it. Like if it's close enough to be like we could win this, or we just have to push them off and we lose, like I'm totally okay kind of giving it an extra round or two, but we can narrow it. If it's one of those things where it's like, guys, even if you push them off, you can't win. You know, they've held you back for 6 rounds, game over.
So I kind of like the option of overtime.
Are we? Because I will say a big mechanic for this is Strange's teleportation circle, being able to just pop on the point and get his whole team over there.
Which I wouldn't mind giving that, because it is a kind of like its own movement, right? Because you have to activate it, then you have to move to the spot and then do it, right? Like in game. So we could even say that, where it's like it has twice your movement, but you still have to move it into place. So you can start your power and then.
Oh, so you still want it to take time to do like it does in game?
Maybe. Like it depends.
When
we go to the characters, because we're gonna have to do a lot.
I will say that will have a huge effect on like, because here's the other thing. When people respawn, are you allowing them to change characters like an actual game? Or are you just gonna play whatever character you pick?
Say it again.
Can you change character on respawn?
Eventually, yes. The idea will be eventually, yes. Because the idea, hopefully, will be we have so many people that want to play that every time someone dies, it's the next person in queue that just takes that spot. Like, it's just literally a rotating game full of people. Because again, the game shouldn't be so drastic that a new player will uproot things, right? The idea will be we'll have like a queue of teams.
I think we have that many. That's when we won't be playing anymore, and we can even increase the player count to a little bit more.
But yeah, for the case of respawns and selecting, once we have enough characters, yes, I don't mind cycling. I think we'll just have to hold off at first because we just won't have enough characters for that to make sense. Plus, that won't help us play test. If someone's constantly changing up, it's like, guys, we need to test. We need to, even though that round sucked, we need to know why it sucked, right? You can't just be like, it felt bad. Like, play the characters out.
Play it out, yeah.
Okay, so I do like this. I do like the 90 foot per payload. The movement is a 10-5, you know, with the plus one person. 1 round to activate payload. Then always moves. Enemy 1 round to deactivate. Do we want the enemy to be able to push it backwards, or should it just be able to stop? Because I feel like if it pushes it backwards, that's immediately going to make the win condition so much more harder.
Yeah, I don't think we need that. I don't think we need that, or at least this version.
Okay, so only stops.
But I do think that they can take over control of it so that the opposing team has to spend an entire round regaining control.
Yes, I do think there needs to be a reactivation.
Yes, only when the point has, because of the same, the enemy team taking over it will work the same way as the pushing team taking over.
Yes, once you're on it at the start of the first person to touch the point at the start of their next turn is when it deactivates or activates.
Yes,
if they're the only one still on.
Yes.
And if someone gets on it before that, like the enemy team, it will remain in the enemy team's control. It will not deactivate. So if you get on the point, and I'm next in initiative, and then I jump on the point, it still stays in our control because it didn't deactivate at the start of your next turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and that's where the dynamic initiative comes in. You could end the round at last initiative and get on the point, and guess what? If you're first in initiative, instant activation. I don't know why that makes sense, but it's how the rules will allow it to. You technically, with dynamic initiative, could instantly control the point. And I don't know if we're gonna have an issue with that or not. But
and that could also be the opposite is true, where if I am first in initiative, I touch it first, and then it's got to wait till the start of my next turn,
and then
I'm last in initiative next time. Then that is 2 full rounds where it's not even under our control until maybe we change it instead of the start of your next turn until the start of this initiative next round.
Whoa, wait. We were talking about giving the card its own initiative. What if it's at the start of the cart's initiative? So if you're touching it when the cart's about to move, and so let's say we're pushing it, right? So it's initiative, it moves, right? Initiative 5, initiative 4, whatever, it moves. You jump onto it on initiative 1. On initiative 4, it deactivates if we don't touch it.
Oh, so it could potentially happen really quick.
As long as it's, because that's the only thing I can think of is it has to be on the cart's initiative. So it doesn't matter who or when you touch it. It's only when the cart's about to move will it decide if it's moving forward or stopping.
So then that would mean that if I am on the enemy team and I am initiative 3 and I can somehow get everyone off of it, my team instantly gets control.
So then so it can't be in this. Okay, so how about then?
I would say that in order to get control over it, if you are touching it after the cart's initiative, so cart's always initiative 4.
Yeah.
Anyone after it, if you're touching it, the next time the cart comes around,
and you're still in control of it,
and you're still the only one touching it, then it's what do you call it?
Activates or deactivates.
It becomes on your turn. Yeah.
And if no changes happen, it will move 5 feet.
Yes.
If active.
Yes.
Okay. So if you touch it before its initiative in the same round, then it's still going to move its 5 feet because you haven't stopped it. But if by the next one, I don't know how we'll write that, but yeah, we can make that. We can make that make sense. Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So the maps will be, so first map, T-shaped. Okay. And then we were just talking about, the cart. So
Cart's initiative, cart like being initiative 4.
right. Movement. Always.
Imagine casting Lehman's tiny hut on the point and instant win. Hey, guess what? Here's our new home base. We win. Wild.
So 2-minute action timer. That gives us some better win conditions. Map type payload. I have a list of characters we can start working on. Got the first type of map I can work on. The map will help with the figuring out how the respawn will work. I'll learn how to figure out how do we get chat involved. We do like the automated dynamic initiative, and then we just have to figure out, once we build the characters, we can figure out how to do the commands of the character sheets.
Yeah. Okay. I am. I'm on board with our what do you call it? Our cart. What do you call it? I want to say dynamics, but it's the wrong word. Mechanics. Our cart mechanics and our payload mechanics so far.
I think it's gonna feel right, especially for the way that we're trying to do it. I think it's gonna feel right. So, yeah, and when it comes down to the actions, the character sheets, yeah, I think the other option now really is just to, I mean, unless we want to finalize any other ideas, I think that's pretty much it. I think that covers most of the development I wanted to do. So if anything, we can kind of discuss a couple character ideas real quick.
Yeah.
I have a list of characters that I thought would be the best to start out with. That would give us the most, the best feel for the game overall, with also highlighting the least complicated characters, like highlighting some stuff that we won't have to like really figure out. But we don't have to do them all today. I just kind of gave an idea of the first characters I would like to see us play with.
All right, what are you thinking?
So Moon Knight, Torch, Spider-Man, and yeah. So Moon Knight, Torch, and Spider-Man for the aggressors.
Duelists.
Hulk and Groot for our tanks, or they call them what do they call
Vanguard.
them? Vanguard. And Jeff and Rocket for the utility healers.
Okay.
Because I feel like, knowing all of their abilities, these are the easiest translatable, plus they all kind of touch a different area without any one being like super overcomplicated or feeling like they're going to overpower anyone in particular.
Sure. Yeah. think it's definitely important to have a flyer in there. I think it's definitely important to have.
I also have some really cool ideas for how torches, like tornadoes, things should work.
Moon Knight and Spider-Man. I would say Spider-Man's a pseudo melee.
I feel like I'm also choosing these because these are the ones that I've had ideas to like figure out how to convert their abilities. So
I do think Spider-Man's movement ability is going to be really important to tackle. Just like I'm curious how we're going to address elevation with all of this, but I think
that's where it's going to come down to how we develop maps. Like those maps, that's why I think the VTT will be even more helpful because we'll really be able to represent going around and through things.
And there's a couple I've been looking into just for my own stuff and my own games because I want to find a way, like a good way to start running online games for a lot of my players just to make my ability to play more consistent. But
there's a couple of VTTs I might actually I'm gonna relook at them because I was looking into them before, and there was one that you can get really like granular with it, and I might just go for it and just for this kind of stuff.
There's one, I forget what it's called, but it's a one-time purchase. It's not a subscription base. It's not like free with a bunch of like ads and stuff, but it's a one-time purchase. Once you get it, you own everything, and then as the DM, once you own everything, you can just share it with everyone else for free. I forget what it's freaking called. I'll have to talk to one of my buddies about it, but
I wonder if it's on my my wish list because I have a game that I was talking to a fellow Dungeon Alchemist.
Oh, that's
Dungeon Alchemist is an AI map-making application.
No, that's not the one I was thinking.
Okay. This one seems to be.
That's cool. I didn't realize it was that 3D.
I don't know if it is or not. There were some people that say like while it does that, there are some people that are like, hey, you only get to print it out in that. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of the ones that I'm really thinking that we could really benefit from.
Okay.
It's $45, but
it's holistically like once you pay the $45, you have everything. You don't have to like.
As far as I can tell, anything. Yeah, and you can just dynamically change things. So I'm gonna look at that and a couple other ones to build out the maps. But yeah, we'll definitely have some verticality. So like you were talking about like Spider-Man, like how like nailing down that movement and stuff. So it's like this is where we can get super creative. Like I think the difference between Spider-Man and Venom's movement, because they're both going to have like the same concept. They're both going to be super fast. They're going to be able to traverse areas. But I think how you make that feel unique, but also make it feel like them, is when Spider-Man moves, maybe he gets an extended movement, but he can only travel like in a straight line. Or like almost like a rook in chess. Maybe he can go straight, but then end one square over. Mm-hmm. Whereas I would think Venom would be much more of a curve.
Oh, you think they move different?
I thought
they'd move like the same as each other.
I think to make it feel better and make the mechanics stand out a little bit different, I think it would be interesting to have them operate slightly different. But maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe because they're both swingers. Maybe that's, they have to have the same movement to make them more balanced. But one is a Vanguard, one is the duelist. So I was hoping that maybe the movement could also reflect.
I don't necessarily mind. I even know Spider-Man's got the ability to like shoot and like zoom straight forward. Like I've seen so much crazy Spider-Man tech on like TikTok and all kinds of wild stuff where people like pulling motherfuckers off the map and shit. Like it is wild.
And I was also thinking like with those movements, because I'm thinking both of them should have like a swing and a hit kind of thing where you can like swing and knock them off the point like that. You would expect to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. But being able to say that they swing in different ways would make you rethink how you're gonna if Venom like does a curve, mm-hmm. you'd have to plan out, can I actually make that curve, and then can I hit them off in the right direction? Whereas with Spider-Man, you'd have to have perfect line of sight. So just a slightly different way of how you would operate those characters in using a similar ability.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just things I've been thinking of off stream that I've just been. This idea has been.
I kind of can get behind that. I like the arc, and I like the quick straight line.
But this is where also I need to just get back to playing more and playing all the characters that we want to build, and maybe that's what I need to do. Maybe we can do a couple today with it on screen. But I really think what I need to do is like figure out what character we want to build, and then like get into the game. And
just as a reminder for myself and the audience, our community stream is Sunday. This
Yes,
upcoming Sunday.
correct.
Okay.
Board game night is the current choice.
Yes. But I think it would be cool. I know we did it once a while ago. Just do a rival stream.
Yeah.
Where you and I get together and just like run through a bunch of the characters. And I found out both you and I can go into the same practice, like like how they have like the whole practice arena with like the robots and stuff. Both you and I can go in there and we can turn friendly fire on and we can practice a lot of moves and we can do different things.
That would be really
like,
nice.
Test stuff out like live, like see what we want to actually do.
I like that. Okay.
I just found out there's an underground arena where you can create things. I didn't know that in that little practice area. You can like create things at different distances, so you can test your range.
Cool.
You can have them move around and like.
I have never
tried.
tried. I wonder if that's newer. I haven't.
I don't know if it's newer, but I just recently discovered it from watching other people do shit, and I'm like, oh, wild! That's fucking here.
Right.
Cool.
That's dope.
I feel like it's very recent to what do you call it? This new season, because this new season has a new map with actual portals on it, where you can like walk up to a portal and like go to a different part of the map. And
I've seen that.
The practice area now too.
Oh, cool.
And the portal takes you down there. So it feels like that might have been when it got introduced.
Yeah, it sounds like that's part of some of these updates because because like this one has a bunch of portals and stuff in it too.
Yep.
That makes more sense. All right, well let me pull this up real quick. Just kind of want to pull up the heroes here, and I just want to get a general idea.
Oh, there we go. Nice. A Powie.
So, who do we want to start on first? I mean, we don't have to finish it. I just want to kind of get like an idea of what we're gonna take away from the character, right?
Sure. Let's start with Moon Knight, because Moon Knight's the OG. I'm not gonna lie, I've been having some fun with Moon Knight.
Moon Knight's one of my favorites.
I feel like it just takes me a really long time to like get to know a character and like how to actually, because I when I first started playing with Moon Knight, I was like, I am so bad with him. I have no idea how to use his kit, and the same is true for like a lot of these guys. But once you figure it out, once you start messing,
I'm trying. I tried earlier today. I cannot for the life of me understand healing. It does not matter what healer I choose, outside of Loki is the only one I can really play. But like I try to play Jeff, I try to play Rocket, and I come out of games with people with like 25k healing. And I go in there in the game and I'm doing literally nothing but healing. I am focusing on my team. I am throwing heals. I am constantly doing everything. And then I leave with like 8k. And I'm just like, the fuck am I missing? Because no matter what, when I try my hardest to heal and do nothing, I ignore the enemies and I just focus on healing, and I could barely scrape by 10k, and these guys are getting like 26k, and I'm like, what?
I don't know. I really don't know. I've heard other people talk about it. I've heard other people explain it, but when it comes to like me myself, like I don't think I've ever gotten 10k healing as a healer.
Yeah,
like,
I'm happy if I can get 10k, and it's irritating.
I get the most heals when I play Jeff, but I feel like I get the least. I've gotten like MVP like 2 or 3 times playing Cloak and Dagger. Weird as hell.
But you probably get a lot of kills though, because Cloak and Dagger is yeah.
You can just wild shit with Cloak and Dagger.
But that's what I'm saying. Like with Jeff, I've seen people get wild heals with Jeff, and then I play him, and I'm like, look, I'm throwing out the bubbles in the middle of my team. I'm, when there's no enemies around, I'm using my water jet on everybody and anybody that I can hit, and I'm using the secondary fire to keep enemies back. And I'm just like,
I will say there was one map that I played where I was playing Jeff. I was basically standing behind him. Groot was lightweight, the only person I healed, but he was constantly getting hit. And I was constantly healing him. I got my ult 3 times in like 2 to 3 minutes.
But that's the thing. I got 3 ults that match. Still didn't even breach 9k of healing. I don't. But I killed a bunch of people.
That's
like it took me a while in Overwatch, but Overwatch made sense. I cannot when I play this game, there will be matches where I'm like, I feel like I'm doing so well, and then I look at the scores and I'm like, I don't know what happened. I don't know why my scores are not matching up with the gameplay that I feel that I'm seeing. Because I really don't know how people, and of course no one in the game is like at all helpful.
Sure,
I mean, if you're not good, you should never play that character again. But it's like, there's nothing in here that makes sense. I even just looking at Jeff's thing here, it's like all of his abilities. I constantly focus my abilities on people, and I just don't rack up the healing. You know, I don't get it. I don't get it. I really, I need to play more heals, and maybe I'll just get it. Maybe there'll be one match where I'll just figure it all out, but it's frustrating. It is. It's very frustrating.
I totally feel it.
Okay, so let's take a look at the OG Moon Knight. All right, so the Crescent Dart, obviously we'll have to figure out once we kind of figure out the process a little bit more, we'll kind of figure out how much health everybody should have.
Sure.
Because this is meant to be a respawn game. You know, you're meant to die. It's not going to be D&D 100 life points.
Yeah.
But we don't need to make it like 200 like this, but then have, damage out at 50. It's like, why have that much, right?
Yeah,
like,
you don't need like crazy hit point value, but
like something like this, if this does like 5 damage on hit, it should do like 2 damage splash. Is kind of what I see here. Like if you hit an enemy and one's within 5 feet, they take 2 points while the one takes 5.
I was even thinking like 10 feet, because that thing's got a decent range on it.
Yeah. So thinking of like a solid. So his like main one would do. So let's say main weapon is X damage on hit plus Y damage at 10 feet. Or 10 feet splash?
Yeah, I'd say 10 feet splash. And I don't know about you, but I like half damage to anybody who's...
Oh,
so like whatever damage I deal to the primary target, I deal half that to everybody else. Maybe round it down.
So like 5 and 2. Yeah, so like 5 and 2, 10 and 5.
Yes.
Okay. And this only hit... Oh, no. It actually bounces to multiples.
Anybody. And the wild thing is it chains.
Oh,
So
yeah.
like if you Daisy Duke people, even if the last person's 30 feet away, it's still gonna hit them.
Right, yeah. And well, that's why he's so great. That's why if you can't bunch up with him.
Bless
But
America.
do we want to limit that? Because I mean, there's really only going to be 2 to 3 players. So
Sure.
does it matter, or do we just say that if you're all grouped up, all of you get hit?
Right now, I think it's not gonna matter. I think eventually maybe we'll limit it to like it can hit like a maximum of 3 or 4 people.
But the damage doesn't trail off, right? Every subsequent hit does the same amount of damage.
Just does the half damage. Yeah.
Okay, so X damage, and then on hit, half damage, 10-foot splash. Now, is that 10-foot splash, like let's say you hit, let's say there's 3 of them. If I hit one, and 10 feet behind him's his buddy, and then 10 feet behind him is an enemy, does it hit all 3? So,
yes.
So it's 10 feet.
That to me is the crux of his kit. Now,
Gotcha. Okay, 10 feet. So I'm gonna call that 10 feet splash ongoing, as in
yes,
10 feet continues to splash. Okay, so that's his main kit. I'm cool with that. That sounds fine for now. Doesn't
Sure.
sound too broken. We will be doing ult, but we'll do that one last.
Sure.
Movement ability. I don't know how much glide's really gonna affect anything unless we have like a pit. So maybe in the future we can work on a glide.
Sure.
But I think everyone's gonna have. We'll just have to identify. He's gonna be. What's his speed? Is he standard speed?
I'd say he's standard speed for sure.
Because that's all we have to care about is, do we want slow characters or do we want just standard, fast, and then dashable characters?
I feel like everyone's like, if all of the characters were to just regularly run, they would all move at the same speed, with the exception of Luna and Jeff.
Okay, so Jeff and Luna will be fast characters. Everybody else will just have a speed ability.
Yeah.
Cool. So his speed standard, no speed ability. Okay. So this is one. This one I'm super.
Yep.
Yeah. So basically, this is just.
To me, this gives you a free stationary target to activate his.
Because it will go around.
ability.
It will just go around a wall, right? Because basically, if you hit this, it'll hit anybody that's near it, that within its radius.
Correct.
So it's. So that's another thing we need to do. His main weapon. What distance do we want to give in game? Like how far? Because in Marvel Rivals has yet to balance the fucking ranges, because everybody hits like
stupid far away.
It's all aimbot. Like every fucking attack is aimbot.
There are some that are short as hell, and some that are like who hella you have to be like point on like that one.
But all of these usually have hell. But I don't want to hit someone, for
Sure. I think
because we're assuming that the standard is what 15 feet. I think we're still thinking 15 feet movement.
we said how far is we were talking about 60 feet from point to point to get the thing to the end, right?
Yeah, and the cart moves at 5:15
So
or 10:15.
if we're saying 60 feet is beginning of course to end of course.
How long should that take an individual? So
I'm thinking range for attack should be half that.
Okay.
30
feet. Okay, so
For like standard long ranged attacks.
okay, we can even just put that somewhere else. So long ranged attack, 30 feet. Short ranged,
15 feet.
15. Do we have a long range attack that we care about, or do we want anyone to be able to be a sniper like that?
I think somebody like a Hawkeye or a like literal sniper characters, Hawkeye and Black Widow and we will decide about Hela when we get there.
So if a regular is 30, a short is 15, do we do the full 60 as long range? Just give them.
I'm not mad at that.
give them
Yeah, I mean they're snipers. Like that's their bread and butter. Like that's what they do.
And you still got some sort of. We're still going to have either some AC or some sort of to hit. So
yes,
we'll figure that out. Okay. So his onk. So we are going to say that. Does this have his normal distance? Because it's supposed to be able to like provide him extra distance, right? So,
I would say that.
So its range is 30 feet.
Its range is 30 feet.
And then I would say that his normal thing has a 10-foot bounce.
I would give it 15.
So this says 15.
I feel like it should have a cool benefit.
But I was gonna 15 diameter. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, 15 diameter, because that means then should we technically give him his onk 45 feet? Because then technically if he throws it 45 and it's 15 beyond that, it'll double his range. It'll double his attack range. Still not as good as a sniper.
What do you mean? Say that again?
So if I throw my onk only 30 feet, that means I can technically only hit a max character of 45 feet away, because it only gives me an extra 15.
Okay.
But if I can throw my onk only 45 feet away, then its extra 15 feet doubles my...
But then I'd still have to be able to hit my onk with my regular attack, which is only 30 feet.
Oh, that's right. Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. That's right. So that wouldn't work. Okay, so 30 feet then. And then it will just give you the extra...
Yeah.
The extra bit. Now, do you know, does the onk in game, does it store, or is it only just a reflection?
It's just a reflection.
So it's instantaneous reflection. Yeah. Okay. So range 30 feet, extends 15. No LOS needed. So you don't need to be able to see the enemy.
Correct.
If you throw this down and throw at it, it will auto basically. Do we want this to auto hit, or does it still have to roll?
I would say you have to hit its AC, which is low. You have to hit the onk itself will have its own AC. And so, like, say it's an AC of 10.
But the onk will auto hit.
Yes, once you hit the onk, it auto hits anything within its range.
Gotcha. So onk has own lower AC. Okay, I like that. So the onk will have like a lower AC, something like a 10. Let's give myself that note. And that way you hit it, but it will auto hit anything that comes near it. It will also have its own HP.
So
because you have to be able to destroy it.
Yes. But your hits obviously don't do
your hits don't, but the other teams will.
I would say not that this is going to be a super big deal, but the onk itself has a 15-foot range. If you hit an enemy within that 15-foot range, that extension, so say there's somebody outside of the onk's range, but within 10 feet of the person that's in the onk's range, that range is only 10 feet. Does that kind of make sense?
So the onk also does I didn't know the onk also did the splash damage.
So if an enemy is within your onk's range and somebody else is outside of your onk's range,
within their range.
But within their range,
it'll hit
still hits them.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I thought the onk only...
I mean, we can always test it out, but I'm pretty sure that's what I've seen. I've seen that work a lot because like I said, that chain, that Daisy Duke effect is huge.
Well, because I'm even looking at this, and it almost makes it look like the Ankh. See, it almost looks like you hit this, and then this just splashes out at anyone, but I don't see it jumping between them. It just seems like you hit the Ankh once, and it hits all three instead of it going 1, 2, 3.
I will. I've seen a bunch of videos that display this. We'll go test it out, but I'm like 90% sure.
Does the Ankh, because the Ankh has a lower AC, should the Ankh change the base damage, or is it still full damage and then splash damage?
I would say, because of what the Ankh is, I would say that anyone within the Ankh's range gets full damage.
Okay, so the
gets full weapon damage.
Ankh does full damage. Auto hit with norm with so auto hit, standard damage, low AC. Okay, yeah. So auto hit with the same splash damage. So it's gonna basically work as your main weapon. It's gonna auto hit, and then do half damage on splash. Okay, cool.
Outside of the Ankh's range.
Moonhook, I think we can worry about this similar to when we worry about anybody else's movement ability. Once the maps are made, it'll make sense. Like this will still be in there, but we just don't have to worry about it being. It's more of a traversing thing than an action.
Yeah.
Because right now we only have main weapon and and I kind of like having it succinct. I don't want too many options for every character.
Agreed.
Triple Eclipse. Oh, this is just melee damage.
I think most melee damage can be.
I think all melee damage should be very basic.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll do like a D4, D6, D8. So D4 melee for healers, D6 for the, I forget what they call them. Vanguards, and then a D8 or the D8 for the Vanguards, D6 for duelists, and then D4 for like the healers. Like we could do something like that for like damage output, like just basic melee damage output.
Although in game, I think they're all the same.
Okay, then maybe we could just do a basic one. Yeah. Because I don't know about doing like he does 3 attacks, but like if the cumulative damage is all the same, then that's,
I think
that's whatever.
There are a couple of people who have specific melee abilities that are like, but they're like your kit melee abilities, not like because what is it? You click the right thumbstick. Well, I'm a controller person, but like there's a very specific like I click the right thumbstick to like a melee, like even a squirrel girl. She doesn't have like a melee ability, but it just but Black Widow has specific melee abilities where she's a sniper, but she can also shoot out a grappling hook, pull you closer, and do like a crazy kick. And obviously, what's his name? What the freak is his name? Newer Town Hall, Cheaper Town Hall. Iron Fist. Iron Fist does a bunch of melee attacks, so his melee is obviously going to look different than Moon Knight, because that's not like his primary kit. But
okay, so I don't think we have to worry about this too much. What's going on, Car? We are going to probably add hazards and other things into the maps once we develop them later. But yeah, I wouldn't mind like pitfalls and other aspects on the map.
Like take people off the map.
We know we talked about like being able to move faster, so even having collapsible walls to make a shortcut. I totally think that would be.
I think that would be very cool too.
Yeah,
that'd be very cool.
Rising Leap, once again, I mean, this is all part of movement.
Yeah.
I think we can just kind of nail those down later.
Sure.
Moonblade. So
that bounce from people?
It does.
Do that again?
Yeah, it bounces from people. It does the same thing as the regular. But that's the thing is like this one only really just gives you
it gives
shield.
You an overshield, and I feel like it does more damage, more initial damage.
And then you get less. So like you get to use it less than your regular one.
Very much. It's got a cooldown. Yeah.
So do we want to add things like this? Do we want to add every ability, or do we just kind of want to make it like I feel like not every ability has to be added, because when I look at this build, does this really add to the flavor of one-shot rivals, or is it more to Marvel rivals?
Something like this, you could do something as easily as saying you can activate this ability to do max damage on one of your normal attacks.
Okay, and just have that reset every so many rounds, like every 3 rounds or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay, so Moonblade would be a so we have Moonblade. Right now we'll just say once per 3 rounds. Auto max damage.
Auto max damage. Yeah.
Are we gonna have? Actually, that's another good question. Are we going to roll for damage, or is it just going to be if you hit, you do a static damage? Because then we can make this thing do double damage. So if, like, let's say the main weapon normally does 5 and the splash does 2, this could do 10 and a splash of 5.
I think it'll make this specifically go a lot faster if people don't have to roll for damage.
Okay, so 1's 3 auto double damage. Yeah, auto double damage with double splash. So whatever we say the main weapon will do, this just does double. So if we say 5 and 2, this will do 10 and 5. Which, I mean, hell, if the other one does 10 and 5, this will do 20 and 5 and 10. Even that, maybe that should be it. Maybe it should be like 10.
That's
the
easy
basic one 10 5, and then this one will do 20 10.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that. I think it would be cool to work on team ups, but I think that will be best once we have all the characters nailed down.
Yes.
I think that'll be a future plan.
Very much so. Very much so. And to be honest, in Rivals, team ups change. I didn't realize that, but like,
do they?
In last season, there was a team up with Rocket, and Punisher and Bucky. Bucky no longer has a team up with Rocket. Bucky now has a team up with Captain America, where they come together and they smash and stuff.
I wonder if that was. I wonder if that's going to happen more often, or if that was because of a.
They did the same thing with Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch now has a team up with Doctor Strange that she didn't have last season.
So I wonder if they're going to keep doing it, if they're fixing it.
I think it's going to be like a rotation.
Interesting.
I think they're going to like constantly like move stuff
because I will say that like some of them were pretty weak. You know,
for sure,
like so.
For sure.
I just, those sound more like corrections than like rotations.
If you look
but yeah,
in the thing, when you go to, I don't know where you can actually see it, but there's an area where you can just look at all the team ups.
Yeah.
You'll see the other team ups, but you'll see them like grayed out. Like those other team ups that are there, they're still there, but they're grayed out and they're not. Now, I don't know if you look at the Rocket one, if it's still there, or if it just like, yeah, because that one.
Well, I see this one. And there's that one. There's the Planet X Pals. So that's still there. This one's still there.
But with Bucky's no longer in the Rocket one, where he was before. And so
he was with Punisher.
He was with Punisher and Rocket, and because neither of them had to reload, you could just sit there and shoot for days for both of those guys.
So these are the 2 new ones. Mental Projection.
Well, 3 new ones because the straight.
Gotcha. So Arcane Order.
That one's pretty wild. Basically, you can use her other ability infinitely. Like, you know how she has her automatic.
Yeah.
And then she's got the thing where she throws. Well, if you activate this ability, you can do that and the thing that she throws, just holding them down infinitely without using anything for a short period of time. But it's got a stupid cooldown. It's pretty powerful. It's definitely pretty powerful. Anytime someone picks Strange, I'm like, let me just play Scarlet Witch again, just cause.
Nice.
But yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll worry about the team ups later. So I guess the last thing will then be ult, and then I have a couple ideas. We probably won't get to it today. But I do think that when it comes to ults, I think that earning them will be more of a token system than like a percentage.
Sure.
So I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of X amount of damage will get you a token. Doing the killing blow on an enemy will give you a token. Maybe activating or deactivating the point gets you a token.
Sure.
So that's what I'm kind of thinking for ults. Let me actually write that down. So yeah, when it comes to ults, so yeah, we'll do team ups later. So yeah, so ults, when it comes to ult charge, tokens, for actions. So for example, we have, so activate, deactivate the point or the payload, kills, X damage output.
Do you think that taking damage for somebody like a tank should build your ult? Because that's your role. Same thing with healing. Healing should build your
healing
ult.
should build your ult.
And
so
I think, you know, not every tank has like a shield like Doctor Strange does.
True.
Or Groot with walls. So you can't always just say if your ability takes damage. Sometimes it's just you, because like what's his name? I almost called him Spawn. Venom. Venom doesn't really have anything, but he's a tanky boy.
True.
And so him just taking damage, I feel like
it distracts. It helps. So what about if like, let's say you get a token for every 30 damage you do. What if we said you get a token for every 60 damage you block?
Okay.
So double the amount you would take. So healing times 2 damage blocked. So we get, so whatever you get the same for healing as you get for damage output. So for every X amount of damage and X amount of healing are equal.
Got you.
But for tanks, you have to double that. You have to take double that because you'll have double the health anyway. True. And then if you double that, because if you take double the amount of damage that we normally give out a token, that token would probably mean that you're probably about to kill someone, which means you've probably saved 1.5 people from dying.
Sure.
That's the logic I think we're going to get behind here.
Okay.
So those are ways that we can earn the tokens. Do we have an idea just offhand how many tokens? So let's say let's say to kill someone, you'd get 2 tokens by the time you take someone down. So then you'd get 3 tokens for, so let's say if you took a whole person down, how many tokens you should have?
I think
like maybe should it be the equivalent damage of whatever we decide life is? Like, should it be 1.5 times like the average life? So if we say everyone has 100 points of life, or probably let's say 50, let's say that for every 75 points of damage you do. So for every 1.5 times you could have taken someone down, you get a token. But if you take them down, you also get a token. So for taking 1 person down, you'd only get 1 token. But for taking 2 people down, you'd get a total of 3.
Well, for taking 1 person down, you get 2 tokens, right? Because you took them down.
Well, you get 1 token for taking them down.
I thought you got a token for getting the final blow as well.
Well, that is it. Like taking them down, the final blow. So you'd get 1, but the amount of damage output would be like 1.5 the average life. So if the average life is 50, I take 1 person down, I get the down point. But let's say I take another person down, so I get their down point, but I also did 75 points of damage. Technically, I did a total of 100. So because I got the 75, now I get a 3rd token. So the idea is 3 tokens for 2 people. And then the healing, same thing. So like if healing was enough healing that's equivalent to 1.5 times someone's health. Because if you only heal 1 person up from death, you almost have a token, and then you can heal 1 other person. But if you're focusing on your tank and you're just racking him up, he has more life already, so you got to push it. So I'm thinking like if we were to do average life is 50, something like 75 points damage or healing to get a token, but that would also mean 100 points blocked for the defense.
Right.
So these are just easy numbers. They're not guaranteed yet.
Yes, I feel like that might be challenging in the moment to track quickly. Right?
True.
Because we're gonna depending on how much of this we're gonna need to be paying attention to versus the player's gonna need to be paying attention to. Be like, hey, how many people have you killed? Did you kill that person? Do you have a token? Like, whatever the case.
I mean, you would think that. I mean, the amount of damage you've done would be on them. Like they would have to keep calculating, and that would be a little bit difficult for sure.
We are saying that it's gonna be standard damage. It's not gonna be roll damage.
And that's true. It could be that. It also, instead of damage, then because it's standard, what about number of hits? Like successful hits then. So 3 successful hits gets you a token, and a final blow gets you a token. So if it takes you on average 3 hits to take someone down, or 4 hits, we can do that. So if we say that it on average it'll take 4 hits to annihilate someone, we can say for every 6 successful hits you get a token. That's simple numbers.
Sure.
But if we only, if it says 2 hits take someone down, it's like 3 hits to a token.
If we're saying hits, then does somebody like Moon Knight get a hit for everyone? Because
no.
I will say his ult charges.
Okay, maybe.
Now again, we can balance how powerful his ult is with how quick he gets it. So if he gets his ult way faster than most other people because he does so many hits and he can just get tokens like that, then he can use his ult a lot more often, but it's not going to be as powerful as somebody like somebody else.
And we can balance out. I would prefer to do a set number of tokens for everybody, but maybe we also just set like his ult is 10 tokens while someone else's ult is only 6.
Sure.
So
and that's not not too crazy to track.
Because if the tokens equate to the percentage of an ult, we can just say that everyone needs a different, I mean, not a different percentage, but you know what I mean? Like, if he earns them faster, his ult just gets more expensive.
Sure.
So that's another way we can do it too. Okay. So it could be every hit period, every successful hit. That would make his Onk really fucked up. Or maybe it's only half for Onk and splash damage. So if he hits his Onk and it hits 2 enemies, he gets the equivalent of one successful hit. That might be a little bit more complicated too.
Yeah.
But maybe that's it though. Maybe some are just gonna have a faster ult, and like you said, maybe we just balance it there, or we change how many tokens it takes for each person to do. Because there has been times where I have felt using 2 different characters that I'm doing the same amount, but my ult's taking way different amount of time to charge. So that might be it too. Okay. So if that's the case, if that's how he's gonna get his tokens, and so
I do like hits. I like hits.
Okay, so not damage, but number of hits, and then how do we want to do healing then? Because is healing also, because
I mean, you could just theoretically say the same thing. Well,
because is healing going to be an auto hit, or do you have to roll to hit your allies? Because I mean, you still have to aim.
I mean, depending on the character,
yeah,
you still have to aim.
I mean, we could do something for heals, like for every time you bring someone back up to full, you get a token. But that, again, that could be spammable, because if they barely took any hit points.
Yeah. Also, how much? I would have
Yeah, number of hits doesn't.
We can work on that. There's
But then you brought it up earlier though. Damage wouldn't be that hard to calculate if everything's a flat amount, right?
It's true.
If we just said you hit him you hit that person 5 times, 1 or whatever, like maybe that's it. Maybe it is just damage then.
Damage, but like standard damage.
Yeah. Because if we're doing just standard damage, it would make it easy to do blocks, to do heals, and then so ults. Cost tokens. I'm gonna. So different for each character, maybe. Like the ult costs would be different instead of it. Maybe I'll keep that as a question on whether or not the ults cost a different amount of tokens per character based on how quickly they generate.
I think that's a potential good way to balance it. I think it could even be a combination of that and controlling how powerful each of them are.
Okay.
You know, because again, some of them are more strategic, like Jeff's doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's got a lot of utility depending on what you can do with it. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is very true.
But I will say Jeff is way more valuable when there is stuff like hazards, like places you can jump off the map and like do other things and just like auto kill people.
Yeah, Jess is going to be interesting, especially because his ult will be able to like basically take the entire. I mean, he already can take the entire team, but if there's only 2 or 3 people, he's just always going to be able to like snipe them.
I mean, whenever you're facing off against Jeff, you got to be at least X amount of distance apart, so you're not getting your whole team swallowed.
Do we get tokens for possible team plays? Maybe if there's like a team wipe, maybe everyone on the team gets a token for a team wipe.
That'd be cool.
So there could definitely be team plays. So yeah, we could do that. Okay, so with Hand of Khonshu, let's kind of just talk about this ult real quick. So when I see this, I feel like I want to make this not a guarantee, because sometimes you can, like get out of an ult. But I also don't want this to be like instantaneous, where it just like he just activates it and anybody in that area, like a spell, right? I don't want it to be so much like a spell.
Yeah.
So it's almost like what I would do is say like his ult is when activated a, 15, 30 square radius, whatever you want to do, 15 radius, 30 radius circle, like appears.
Sure.
And until the start of your next round. So as Moon Knight, until the start of your next round, X number of these will hit. And you could even do like a roll or just like a randomized, but like, let's say like if it's like, a big circle, let's say you just roll and it's like you get 4 rolls and it'll be percentiles. And if it's like 25, like 25%, 50%, 75, and it'll just hit like a general area.
Gotcha.
And then whoever's in that general area during this time frame, whenever they hit, I just don't know when they would trigger, right? Is it like every other initiative, or
I think it should be kind of like something like Moonbeam. Whenever a creature starts its turn in that area, until the start of your next turn, they have to like see if they end up taking damage.
Okay, that could be cool. I like
Something
that. Yeah, I mean, because there should be a way to technically get out of it, like because Marvel Rivals does allow you to run.
Yeah,
but I don't want it to last forever. Shouldn't take that long. But I think ults can last like an in-game round because they do last some time. It's just how do you represent that without auto hitting everybody in there?
Yeah, and that's why I think so. I do think certain things like for Moon Knight, specifically his leap, right?
Yeah.
I think certain things like that should and could be able to be done as like a reaction, because when you hear somebody ult, like that's a huge thing in Rivals, is like you can choose to react to that.
That's why I kind of like the ults lasting until the start or the end of that person's. I mean, even at the end of that person's next turn, basically the ult costs them 2 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
So you start your ult 1 round, and then at the end of your next round it goes off. So like, Jeff would go underwater, under thing, and then the end of his next round he'd swallow. Or even other ones could go 1 extra round, like maybe Scarlet Witch has 3 rounds where she activates it, and then 2 rounds later it goes off. So maybe it's not the end of her next round, but the start of her 3rd round, it goes off. So you have that much time. And it gives her time to, move and do her thing, because, that's another part about it, right? Some ults, you need to be moving, and other ults just are, once they're on the battlefield, they're on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out how long should ults last, and then each one would have its own effect.
Yeah. I will say I like the idea for Scarlet Witch that it takes some time, especially because she can move during that time, and if you run away from her, she can choose like who she tries to follow and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm gonna use my ult, everyone's gonna run away from me, and I can't do anything about it, right? Type deal, Well,
and even with Moon Knight, you spend a round to activate it because you're kind of like searching for the spot, right?
Sure.
But then as it's going, you're still fighting. So if this thing went off on 1 round and then continued until the end of your next round, that acts like you running around. And if you do your onk and this and then attack, you're just piling out damage all in that one area. So should we just keep in mind that every ult should last pretty much at least 2 rounds, and then others could last longer, or should they all last the same amount of time? Because I actually don't know in game how much different each ult lasts.
I feel like for D&D purposes, for the most part, they'll be the same, but there could be some exceptions.
Okay,
right?
so is
like Luna. Luna's gonna last longer.
Gotcha.
Than I feel like Luna should last at least like 5 turns.
Oh wow, okay.
Like maybe not 5 turns, but like
3 makes more sense. Like the end of her 3rd turn. So I could see a lot of this being the majority should be end of next turn, end or start of next turn, depending on how quick their actions are. But usually they'll probably last until the end of your next turn. Mm-hmm. And then the longer ones, we could say the start or end of the 3rd turn. Because that's still a long ass time. That gives you the activation round, a movement round while you're doing shit, and then the round that it actually like unfolds, right? Yeah. Even Jeff could have a 4-round one because he has technically 2 rounds to decide to swallow, then he has a round to move, and then he has the round to regurgitate. So we can even say so at minimum we can say it's 2 rounds. So I don't mind this one being the end of his next round, because it's a set it and forget it, but it doesn't last that long. It's basically really kind of whoever's right there. So his could be so ahead of Khonshu, so end of 2nd round, so lasts until end of 2nd round. And once active, is it like a percentage chance, or is it like every so many initiatives anyone in this circle is going to get hit, or is it, because it should be a pretty big circle, but I'm just trying to think of how do you decide who it hits?
So I will say this. I think that for D&D, it feels like it's too easy for people to just get out of it if there's only a % chance. So what I think is the % should be how much damage you make. So because when it comes to this, like there'll be some areas where you won't take full damage, because if it lands directly on top of you, you're going to take max damage. If it lands next to you, you're going to take a little bit of splash damage. And once you get further out towards the edge of the circle, you take less damage, right? So the way I look at it is like when you start your turn within this area, you can like roll a D4. If you roll a 4, you take the highest amount of damage. 3, you take the next, and then something like that. Just so you're not, you could take like 2 damage or only 5 damage, or you could take like 10 or 15 damage.
So would you say that? Well, because I'm even looking at this. Everybody in that circle took the same amount of damage. Like they all basically took the same amount of damage. And realistically,
if you look at the guy in the middle, his health went down.
It looks relatively the same to me. So here's what I'm thinking. What if it is just because it's at the start of your next, or until the end of your next turn? Mm-hmm. So why not just X number of damage for anyone that starts their turn in this? That means that this turn, if you're after my initiative, you're getting hit. Mm-hmm. And if you've already gone this round, you're getting hit. Mm. So it really only helps people who have already moved out of the way. So realistically, that wouldn't be bad. Just if you start your round in my circle, you're getting hit by it. And that's just it. And it lasts until this.
If that's the case, I think that there should definitely be reaction-based abilities. Reaction-based movement abilities. Like,
gotcha. To be able to jump out of it?
Yes. And so like if you've already used your reaction, sorry, you can't get out of it. But if you haven't used your reaction and you see what happens, just so it's not like, oh, you're in it, sucks to suck, you're gonna die.
Yeah, you're right. Like being able, so we could do like a fall off where if you're in the center, you take full and then it falls off.
I'm super cool with that.
So so basically it's kind of like if you were to be able to move. So like if you're at the edge of it and the start of your next turn, you're going to take partial because you're going to move out of it. But if you're in the center, it doesn't matter. You're taking full damage.
Yeah.
Okay. So
what do you think the range?
So
of this
last
should be?
End of 2 rounds. It's not very far. It's not.
It feels about the same size of his Ankh, like a 15-foot radius.
Yeah, it's about the same radius. So last and second round, Ankh radius. So Ankh radius, drop off damage. Drop off damage and
that's perfect. It's every 5 feet. So
yep, and then damage at start if start. Damage. Yeah, and then damage is when start.
Okay.
What's going on? Let's see.
That was pretty smooth. That was pretty smooth for a character. I mean, with the exception of the movement abilities, I think we hashed out the majority of what he does.
So how many turns until they're not able to do? What do you mean by not? So ability would be rather long because when you split them out, how many turns until they're not able to do anything for Jeff? Oh, when you split them out with Jeff. I mean, I feel like it would probably just be like that round. Like once he spits you out, it's not until the next initiative round that you'd be able to act. So he kind of just takes you out for that round.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing as him. Like, so Moon Knight, it's at the end of his turn. It goes, well, theoretically, it's the start of his turn.
Yeah, and Jeff would have a choice, right? So it would be, Jeff would probably be something like, when he activates ability, he has up to 2 rounds to swallow and then 2 rounds to spit, something like that. Or he has a total of 4 rounds. Once he activates ability and goes underground, he has 4 rounds. And in that 4 rounds, he can move, he can swallow them, and he can spit them. But if he waits too long, you know what I mean?
I will say, because in game, the way I've seen it is like once you start it, you can't undo it.
That's
so like him, you can wave your arm, but you can cancel it if you want to, and still keep your ult. Jeff, you can't do that. When you go under, it's happening.
Well, yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like, so I'm just saying, like, if you gave him a set amount of time to do all of his actions, right? He can swallow, and then he can spit, and then he can move.
I would
so
say
once he activates his ult, it's like you have 4 rounds to like.
I would say 2 rounds for each, so you can't like immediately swallow and then have 3 rounds of running around.
Okay, that's fair.
So
Yeah,
like you have 2 rounds to choose to swallow. Once you choose to swallow, you've done that, and then after you've swallowed, you have 2 rounds to move. And that way you're only getting 2 rounds to move.
And that's fair. Yeah, and then you had the 4 rounds. So yeah, so when we get to Jeff, like we could do something like that. That wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, I think that's where we'll end up having to go with that is figuring out like what makes the most sense for unfolding that. But because yeah, usually you have like, you know, a few seconds to like, you know, orient, you know, you usually want to do it off screen, you come back in, you swallow them, and then it's like a race for time to try to like get them out of the way. So yeah, 2 and 2. I think Jeff's could be 2 and 2. Yeah, totally makes sense, and with the speed that we're doing. So yeah, no one else speaks back. That says that, oh, and it says that there's 2 people here. I don't know. Yeah, it does say that there's 2. It might be the bot though. I know sometimes it counts the bot as a viewer.
I'm here too.
What about support teammates and giving them? I don't know. We'll have to, once we get to support characters, we'll have to figure out how tokens really work. Like, I think it's going to have to be more focused on the actions that you do and really less focused on the team actions. But I don't mind doing things like if there's a team wipe, like, you know, if all of the enemy teams all down before the end of the round, I don't mind like everyone getting an ult token or something like that. But when it comes to like empowered teammates and all of that, unless it's like part of your build, I don't know why. Empowered? I mean, I'm assuming that's like for like the like when Rocket can give you a shield or Magneto can give you a shield. Like if I do something to empower you and then you do something cool, do I get a benefit for the token? And I don't know how, again, for the ease of trying to do this on stream and flow it with a chat, the less we have to like nitty gritty, be like, oh, but you did this and then this, so this gets that. That might be too much, right? It might be just more focused on like the things that, you know, directly relate to your character will be the things that generate your tokens.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. I think for like Rocket, you can do something to the effect of like when you start your turn and you have your ult up, like however many people are in your ult, you get a set number of tokens. So like if you have like your whole team in your ult, then you can get like 2 tokens or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, you know like starting on your
but
next
if only
ult.
one person's in there, you only get like 1 token or like a portion or something like that. But
yeah. Okay, cool. I really like how that Unk works. I like the idea. So it lasts for 2 rounds. So or lasts till the end of his next round when he after activating it. Has the Unk's radius, it has drop off damage, and it damages people when they start their turn in it.
Yeah.
So he can just drop it and go, boom, I'm ready for it. Why are we ignoring YouTube chat? We don't have YouTube chat over here yet. No one ever watches this on YouTube. But welcome into Twitch. I think you might actually be the first official YouTube chatter that we've ever had.
Really? We have a YouTube chatter. Amazing.
I think so.
That's impressive. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming to hang out with us. Thank you for jumping over to Twitch real quick to say hi.
Appreciate you.
Because we didn't hit you.
I will have to take a look at that. Because, yeah, I have looked back on almost every VOD and have never once seen someone attempt to chat, in YouTube.
Wild. I love it.
Our day's going pretty well. How's your day going? Don't know how far you've been into the stream. It's just been kind of a chill development stream today.
Indeed.
I'm gonna check that though. I always wanted to add YouTube chat to both the stream and my viewpoint, like, you know, my overlay, but I could never figure out how to do it. It would never connect the chats. So I don't know why it's doing that. Or I don't know how to get it to do that, but I even see it right now.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Oh, yeah?
What's up? Question mark.
All right. Well, I guess that's our official sign that we need to get YouTube chat developed in Twitch.
Right. Oh, I missed my emojis. I don't have emojis in YouTube chat.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
All right, so I think we have it good here. I think that I think Moon Knight feels right. I mean, we don't have all of the specific numbers yet, but doing weapon damage with half splash, he'll be a standard speed character. The Ankh has a 30-foot range, which extends to 15 feet. No line of sight needed. It will auto hit with splash damage, and it has a lower AC and lower HP, so that it'll be easier to use. We have the Moonblade, which is once every 3 rounds right now. Maybe change that, but once every 3rd round, you can basically auto double damage one of your hits. So that just kind of is nice. It's like basically auto hit and double damage. Or do you still have to? Well, you still have to hit him. You still have to like roll to hit or whatever.
For which one?
The Moonblade.
Oh, just the standard Moonblade. Oh,
not his main attack, but his like specialty attack.
Yeah, you still have to roll to hit for sure.
Okay, yeah. So once every 3 rounds, you'll just auto double damage with that one. And then let's see. And then Khonshu, last to the end of the 2nd round, has the Ankh's radius drop off damage, and then will damage the enemies at the start of their turn. Yeah. I think that's
good.
I think that's good for a start. That with the way that we kind of developed how the payload's gonna go and how everything else. Now I really just need to make a mock map, and yeah, I think that's it. I think just figuring out that a test map and then doing a couple extra characters.
Yeah.
So maybe if we don't have another Friday topic coming up, maybe we'll just keep working on this.
Hey, I'm not mad at it. That'll be some for sure cool stuff. I'm excited to see what exactly we do for a healer.
Yeah, I think Jeff and Rocket will be the best starts to that. Looking at the other healers was going to be a little bit more complicated. I want to start out with something a little
Cloak
bit.
and Dagger's for sure going to be complicated.
Yeah.
They can do some wild stuff. And like their ult, oh my gosh, dude, that's crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm liking it. It's actually a lot more than I anticipated us getting through tonight. I honestly wasn't expecting to do so well. I thought this was going to take a little bit more effort, especially with all of the actual details of the payload. I didn't expect that to work so easy.
Flow the way it did. Yeah. No, I think we got a good idea, a good foundation. Now
do so well. I thought
so. Continuing to follow that same flow, I think it'll work out pretty good. Especially because, weirdly enough, I really feel like a lot of what we can do with a lot of these characters is relatively intuitive, like with some exceptions like Spider-Man's movement, and I kind of imagine like Scarlet Witch's primary fire being a little bit like magic missile. It's just like an auto hit within a certain range or whatever.
Yeah.
But still. Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
No, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be way cool.
I'm just trying to think of I don't know. I don't see anything on here specific to finish up. I mean, we got the number of players, we've got the match length, we've got our action timer, we've got our match type that we're gonna do, we've got our payload, we have where it's gonna start, how it's gonna move, how that works. We have some basics on ranges. Did we nail? No, I think once I figure out no. So base movement. Did we decide exactly what that base movement should be? Like if you were to run from start to finish, from end to end, how many rounds should it take you to like, if it's going to take the payload, at minimum it'll take the payload 6 rounds and a max of 4. How long should it take a character?
Minimum of 4, max of 6.
Yeah. So if the standard payload will make it there in 6 rounds, and at max speed can make it there in 4 rounds. How fast should a character be able to make it?
I mean, I feel like they should be faster, so 2 or 3 at least.
Okay, so then it's either 20 feet or 30 feet for character movement.
I'm okay with a 20-foot base speed for majority of characters.
I think that does make sense because we were talking about there are no slow characters, but there are 2 fast characters.
Yeah.
And
a lot of characters with
movement-based abilities. So
yeah.
that should, okay. So initiative, rules, maps.
Like,
bolts,
what's her name?
tokens.
The freaking ninja girl.
So base movement of 20 would give. So if base movement's 20, that would be 3 rounds to make the full length, right? So we're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's 2 fast moving characters. So how much faster should they be? Is that 25 or 30? Like how much faster do you see them in game?
I'm trying to think because I think what is the freaking ninja girl's name? Lord.
Psylocke.
When Psylocke goes invisible, she moves slightly faster.
Slightly.
I think that should be 25. I
Okay.
don't know if Jeff and Luna outpace her when they're just doing the regular run.
But you say that Jeff is actually faster just in general, like his
Only
base
when
speed?
he's underwater.
Okay, but he has a boost, right?
Oh, when he's underwater, he's got a boost.
Oh, but you don't know if that
Luna-
boost is faster than Psylocke's boost.
Yes, if his boost is even faster than Psylocke, I mean, I think we could just make it 25. Just say 25. Just call it that.
Just the faster people are just 25.
Yeah, the faster base speed people are 25.
Okay, so base movement's 20, fast is 25, and then boosts are in increments of like 10.
Well,
10, 15.
Like
Depending on what they are.
Definitely depends on the boost for
Yeah.
sure. Like Spider-Man, he's gonna have his little zip. That's gonna be.
Yeah.
That's just gonna be like he's gonna have a range for that, and it's gonna be almost like a teleport.
Yeah.
Maybe,
That won't be really. Yeah, that's not really like a. Yeah. Okay. So.
But like.
Okay, base movement of 10 or 20 though. I like that.
Like Iron Man, when Iron Man goes in his
flight mode. Yeah.
flight mode or whatever, like
That could probably be maybe 30. That's a little bit faster.
that's kind of what I'm thinking.
But we could also balance it and say it's 25, but he just doesn't have terrain.
Yeah.
So it's.
I will say it feels like he's moving about as fast as Luna when he does that.
Yeah, I don't
It
think
kinda-
any of their speed ups are that much faster than the other speed ups.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could just do base and then 25, and then anything else we can just do. Like if it's a burst, we can just do 5, 10s and stuff.
Sure.
So we'll call that burst instead of boost. All right. So we have the number of players that we're looking at. We're looking at match length and win conditions. How the payload moves. We have base range attacks. We have base movements. We have one character. We have a list of characters to finish up. We know how ults work. We have a couple things that'll be down the road, like team ups and things of that sort. I'll be working on the map.
The deets for tokens for ult charge.
Yeah, we'll work as we develop, because now we have an ult. Now it's just once we have a couple of different ults, then it'll be judging how much does it cost, and then once we know how the damage actually calculates, then we can do all of those. And then everything else is like dev work, like how to get chat do it. We also need to guarantee how we can do like spawn and how quickly that happens. But once we get the characters fleshed out, and then after that, it'll be developing whether or not it's all through the TTV or if we're going to be doing chat commands through Twitch.
Cool.
I think this is dope.
Dude,
I'm super excited for
this. We did a lot.
Yeah, we basically have the foundation of the game now.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Now, granted, we still have the other game mode, the domination game mode.
If we even go there.
If we plan on doing that.
And that, honestly, realistically, a domination is the same exact thing. It's the deactivation activation with just no movement. It's just how many rounds do you have to hold? Like maybe instead of moving the payload 90 feet for the course of, 4 to 6 rounds.
Mhm.
What if it's once active, you just have to hold it for an accumulative 6 rounds?
Right.
And then every time someone gets on it,
And
it deactivates.
you if it's contested,
No one's well.
you're not well, theoretically you progress in game. You theoretically progress if it's contested and you own it. So if I started with it and I own, but I think that I'll say if for us that could make games go forever. If they stop it, if
anyone's
contested,
on it, yeah. And but again, that could just be it. With so few players, it's just as long as you hold it, it progresses, and you just have to own it for X number of rounds.
Sure.
And then but then the activation deactivation could be the same thing as long as you're the only one on it at the start of the next turn or at the even though the round will have an initiative, right? It's that 4th initiative. We'll just do it.
Sure.
Wow, I'm actually really surprised at how smooth that felt. Like just understanding how the map should work, how quickly we were able to calculate the speed. We're good at this. I think we've done this 1 or twice before of calculating.
Yeah, no, we got some MGS build practice in.
I think it also, honestly, I just think it also helps that we've had, DMing experience. I mean, being able to understand what bogs down a game.
Yeah.
And having these years of experience, knowing think about how quickly, we talked about it for probably a good half hour, 45 minutes, but think about how quickly our, not the process, but how quickly our logic was in terms of like weeding out what was good and bad for that movement. Like when we first thought it'll take, only 10 rounds to finish. Oh, but that would be 75 rounds at slowest. Like how quickly we were able to just weed out why things were good and bad and how quickly we were be like, this is comfortable. I can see it from both. Like that's, I think, a skill set we've both learned very well is being able to see it from the best case and worst case scenario and then judge, does both sides feel worth it?
Our community creation reviews help out a lot with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I'm super excited. I don't think we have any other questions from chat, so that might be a good place to end it. Oh man, I am super excited about this. I don't know how much longer it'll take us to
solidify
to get this like properly up and running, but I can imagine us test running this very, very quickly.
Summer.
Maybe even sooner. Like, I don't know how. I'll probably work more on this off stream, but
Sure.
I could see us doing this. Well, I guess I keep forgetting how late it is in the year. Probably by summer. By the end of summer, we could probably be running this. It's maybe a month or 2 away.
Yeah.
Had a whisper question because he's gone. I'm glad that you were liking the idea of it, Cart. I'm actually kind of surprised that not everybody else was here. I know Soul, I think, has had some changes in their
regular schedule.
In their job schedule. So I know that they've been
Fair
popping
enough.
in and out. But I am super excited about this idea. I'll be honest, I was not feeling it today. I wasn't going to cancel stream because I wasn't like actually feeling bad, but I'm just like this. If I was a full-time streamer, this would definitely be a day off for me. I was not gonna do this. But I'm glad we did. And the more I think about this, the more I'm excited to do this than I am to do like D&D game. And
Sure.
maybe it's because it's fresh and it's new, but I also think, like I said in the beginning of the stream, this feels like the appropriate bridge between how we want to game on stream and how everyone else games on stream. And this is the right way for us to start, right? Start with small ways that we can interact, learn all of the little, cues with chat, how to get them involved, how to do the commands, and then slowly building up from there to where we have all the resources to where we just shift the narrative. And now suddenly they're playing characters and talking with us a little bit more. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Dude, this is gonna be dope. This is gonna be really good stuff, and I'm really excited for chat to actually run with us. It's gonna be very cool. It's gonna be very cool. I think it's gonna be a very you keep talking about like what's gonna be that thing. Not necessarily that we're known for, but not necessarily that like we go viral for, but like I feel like this could very easily be one of those things that like pops off, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, and you know, thinking about that one streamer that does the Naruto MMO, and just you know,
I still got to check that out.
If this is, I would love you to, because if you could just sit through it and tell me what the hell's going on, because every time I try to sit through it, nothing's happening. I do not understand what so many people are watching. But yeah, if you could figure that out, I think that would put us way ahead of a lot of other people in terms of the styles of games that we play.
Sure.
I don't even know what category that would fall under, whether that would be D&D or Marvel Rivals or just chatting. I don't even know what category that would fall under. But
I mean, you can get away with either, and bet money if you put it in Marvel Rivals, there'd be a whole bunch of people in there and be like, "Oh, what's this?"
Right?
This?
People would be
Let's go."
people would be like, "What are you doing?" But I don't. The more I think about this idea, the more I'm happy with it, and the more it excites me that this is one of those areas that I always wanted Misfit Gamer Studios to develop into. Right? This isn't purely D&D anymore.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, the way that we're going to start doing it. So
no, I like that.
I'm super excited.
And this is another thing that I mean when I say like D&D doesn't have to be D&D. D&D is, again, I use it as like the Kleenex versus tissue. It's the generic term. For
instead of saying TTRPG, you say D&D.
Exactly. And so like, it's good. It's so good. So I'm stoked that I get to do this. I'm stoked that we get to develop this and build this and all that stuff. So it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no idea, Cart. I thought the same, which is why I kind of just didn't mention it, but I didn't know if they were gonna keep talking or anything. So yeah, I don't know. But yeah, hopefully they liked it and they'll be back. But yeah, I think that's good enough for tonight. I think that's enough for us to all sleep on. I'll work on a map, and then maybe next week we'll pick back up, or maybe we'll just talk off stream. And then once we get the next stage, the next, I mean, this was just phase 1, but I think phase 1's done. I think we got the scaffolding pretty much nailed. Dude. So I'm good. Yeah, I won't be on this weekend. I have way too much stuff to do
till Sunday.
Yeah, I meant gaming stream. Yeah. I won't be gaming this weekend because I got stuff to do tomorrow. We got the community stream on Sunday, which hopefully people will actually like do.
Come chill with us, y'all. Cart, I expect to see you there. I want you in chat. All right, we're gonna be playing who knows what game, but it's gonna be dope. So come party with us.
Yep. All right, so yeah, that's Sunday's gonna be fun. Yeah. Sunday's gonna be fun. I don't know what game we're gonna play. That means I have to get a new. I'm gonna just post it now. Well, actually, wait. Let's look at Discord real quick. Let's find out what the vote is.
Oh, I saw you post a new game that you were thinking about getting in chat. What game is that?
It's called The Precinct. It's like an old. It's very weird. Ironically, I saw it, and the same day Game Ranks put out a Before You Buy, so I was able to actually get more information because at first it just looked interesting. But it is a cop sim. It is a very PG-ish cop sim. So it's not gritty. It's not like GTA.
Okay.
But it's not really like super open world. But I guess it is just kind of a more low-key, casual cop simulator where you can kind of just get through the story if you want, but you can also just kind of live the life.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, you just get to, and then you start, and supposedly you start out like low level doing traffic tickets and, walking and doing stuff. And then you get into like drug, trading and gun wars. There's different areas. Like instead of doing like a big open world map, you like choose day shifts, but you choose them in different precincts, and every area will have a different type of loadout. So one area will be a driving patrol where you're catching speeders. Another one will be you're on foot, walking around trying to catch drug dealers, with possession. Another one, you can like at some point you can do like when you're in a police chase, you can call backup, and then you can become like the helicopter, and then like as long as you're following it, the other cops will get it. So like there's like it sounds not like super engrossing. It doesn't sound like Ghost of Tsushima or anything like that. But when I saw it, I'm just like, honestly, this is the kind of game I'd love to play on stream. Kind of I don't want to be an RP streamer, but I'm not good at games that take all of my attention and that aren't entertaining in and of themselves.
Yeah.
If you're not like super good, right? Like most FPS shooters, if you're not really, really good or really knowledgeable, gameplay is boring.
Yeah.
Like it's really hard to be entertaining if you're not hella good and the gameplay is good.
You see, it's interesting when I think about like streaming games. So there's this game that I played back when I had PlayStation Plus or whatever called Control. And it was a really, really freaking good game. But it's games like that I don't buy because they don't have a lot of replayability. It's almost like a movie as a game.
Yep.
And those games I would love to stream. Because those games I love like exploring, I love going through them, but it's like a one-shot thing. Like I do it and then I'm done with it. You know? I just got the it was on sale the other day for like $10. The Harry Potter game. So I got that game just because like that would be a game that I would stream. You know?
Yeah, any game that you can kind of casually just list through are good because anything that you have to just be like. The reason why I stopped doing Ghost of Tsushima and stuff, it's because like I wanted that to be a casual game, but I didn't want to go live every time I wanted to play it. Like I got to give a game where, like with a Precinct, I don't feel like if I played it on my own, people are gonna miss anything.
Yeah.
But also, it's very much a game that I feel like I could kind of get into a character with. Like again, not full on role play, but like. Yeah. If it's just more casual and just more about like being in the mindset, like that's why I like Shadows of Doubt is is a really good game that I used to stream. I haven't streamed it in a while, but it's a detective game where you're just kind of like trying to figure out puzzles and trying to figure out what, who done it and everything. So those are kind of the games that I think I would be better off.
I do get that.
Same thing with Hitman. Hitman's a good one. They're kind of like just
individualized like missions that you can do, but it's the same sort of vibes.
But I can also I get kind of role play with Hitman, right? Like I kind of get into the mindset. I feel like I can be more entertaining because I can interact with the game in a different way. So that's why I was looking at Precinct. I'm just like, this looks fun and casual, not campy, but it looks right about up my alley for something that I would want to try. So I might be getting that one.
Okay.
Fallen Acres is what it's called if you like old Doom Wolfenstein games. I haven't played Doom or Wolfenstein in a long time. But Fallen Acres, I'll have to check that out. I haven't heard of that one. But yeah, Precinct, I might get that one. I might even buy it tomorrow, just to try it out for the weekend if I have any time.
Sure.
I have such a busy weekend though. Yeah.
Time. What is time? Shoot.
Fallen Acres, huh? Oh yeah. I saw a video about this one. I loved the art style. It's like a very old school like comic-y art style. I like that. Yeah, I was checking. So we have community stream. Vixie has stuff tomorrow. Wait, what am I doing? Tomorrow, like an actual day off for me. Maybe I will stream. Maybe I actually have a day off. Right?
What do those look like?
But then again, I'm streaming on Sunday, so maybe I shouldn't. We got a view on Monday, and then next Monday is Cart. Yeah, I think so. I think you're coming up pretty soon. Just mind it into reality. I mean, hey man, that works. You think about it hard enough, manifestation. All right. Well, let's drop that down. See, it worked. Perfect. All right. So, oh yeah, I was checking Discord. I wanted to see the vote before we got off.
Oh yeah.
Next Monday we have the Frost Month.
Yes, that is going to be the 2 forms of Frost Month. I wasn't sure exactly how to write that in there, so I just put Frost Month.
All right, I think I'm going to shut the vote down. We have 7 votes. We only have until Sunday, so I don't think it's worth leaving it up for 2 more days. But it does look like Board Game Night won. So
I don't know if I voted. I don't really.
I mean, unless you want to screw it all up and tie it again like the community always likes to do.
Love doing that. Let me get my poster.
So classic or modern?
Part, the only thing you have waiting in the wings is the Decker, the living deck of many things, right? I think that's the only thing I have waiting.
Flex. And
Harder board. Freaking love that, man. We gotta add dice in there.
I mean, there's not a lot of actual dice games.
It's true.
At least that we did. But I mean, really.
The only ones I know of are Yahtzee and what's that one?
Bang.
Bang.
Yeah. So
But there's another one. There's this cool wizard one. I gotta find it. I played it at a church camp one time with a bunch of kids, and it was actually a lot of fun. I gotta start taking pictures of these things again, so I can actually remember what the heck they are. Ooh, spend some time doing that. Both of them. Okay.
uh, 18.
Here.
All right, we're already getting votes in.
Wild. Enter vote.
All right. Well, I just posted in the Discord. So three new votes are out for whether or not they want classic or modern, simple or complex, and card or board game. Right now, the votes are one vote for each. We have a classic, simple card game is the current vote.
Okay. Cool.
So we will let people vote for that. And we'll see what happens.
You know what my favorite classic simple card game is? Nobody plays Hearts anymore. Hearts is OG. It's an OG card game. I mean, it's no Old Maid, but still. No Old Maid. Wait, is it Old Maid or is it Goldfish? Goldfish is the one I was thinking. But Old Maid is also. Giggity.
Wizard 101. There were no other Wizard games before 2004. Doesn't sound right. Really? 4? Weird.
I mean, D&D came out way before 2004. That's technically a Wizard.
I mean, that's fair.
Lots of Wizards.
All right. I think that's gonna be it for now. I'm tired. I might be back on tomorrow playing some games, plays Precinct. I don't know.
Cool.
Who knows? Actually, I was gonna
If you're
test that
really
too.
feeling
I
froggy-
did ask chat.
If you're really feeling froggy, we can play a couple rounds on Rivals tomorrow too.
All right, we got 5 votes. Wow. 3 out of 5 people do not want to watch me play Precinct. So apparently that's just going to be my own game.
Wild.
Soul and Nugget want to watch, but Cosmic, Hecate, and Cart don't want to watch. So maybe I won't stream that one.
Wild. Y'all haters.
Hey, I needed my own casual game anyway. I'm cool playing mine.
Fair enough. Look at some of these. You know what? I'm gonna vote that just because.
Just to fuck with it.
No, because it's already what everybody else already voted. So, but I've only voted in one of the 3 polls. So. Oh shoot, what happened? The other ones I'm not too.
Oh wow. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Right.
Community can never make up their own damn
Oh my
mind.
gosh, the one I voted in is the only one that isn't tied. God bless.
I know, right? That's why I was laughing. I'm like, what? Like, you didn't bother with it. All right, cool. Well, I guess we will kill it here. Yeah, this was fun. I'm super excited to get this done. Hopefully we can get this done by July. Like not before July, but sometime by July. We could probably be gaming.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, it shouldn't take us more than a month.
So.
It's really going to be the assets, like getting the map and how we're going to interact with it.
But again, once that stuff gets set up, like it's set up.
Yeah.
You know.
Nah, this is going to be cool. All right, Kurt, thanks for chilling with us and giving us some ideas and just encouraging us for the Marvel one shot.
Yeah, man.
The one shot rivals. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah. So we will be back on Monday for sure.
And Sunday for sure.
Or so we're back on Sunday for the community stream, board game night, and we will be back on Monday with a regularly scheduled D&D review. Other than that, keep a lookout for one shot rivals.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Hope you guys had a great week, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend ahead of you, but that's going to be us for tonight. Cheers.
Cheers.